I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will start with some administrative business, given that we actually have an audience tonight. If there is an emergency in the building, an alarm activation, use the door at the rear of the hall where you probably came in. You may also use the door to my right and your left up at the front. However, the elevators will not be active during an alarm activation. If you need assistance, please wait for first responders to arrive. The Planning Board voluntarily continues to offer remote participation. If any member of the Planning Board participates remotely, all votes shall be by roll call. If you wish to attend the meeting from cyberspace, you may do so using a smart phone or a computer. Visit www.zoom.us. Enter meeting ID 754-663-912, or by telephone by calling into 646-558-8656, and again entering the same meeting ID 754-663-912. If you have any technical problems with getting into the meeting remotely, please call 603-845-5585. If you are on the telephone, *9 is how you get recognized to speak, and *6 is how you unmute yourself once you have been recognized. I will now introduce the staff and members who are present tonight. To my far right is our alternate, Mr. Mousy, who I'm going to ask to sit for Mr. Pelletier tonight. Planning Director, Ms. Robidoux.
Good evening.
Planning Clerk, Ms. Wilson. Town Council Liaison, Mr. Chase.
Good evening.
Member, Mr. Healy.
Good evening.
Vice Chair, Mr. O'Connor.
Good evening.
To my far left is Mr. Prevenger, who in charge of all things wonderful in video. Our Deputy Director of Public Works, Mr. LaRue.
Good evening.
Member, Mr. Fishman.
Good evening.
Town Administrator Representative, Mr. Churchiello.
Good evening.
Secretary, Mr. Malaby.
Hello.
And I'm Dave Nelson. I'm the chairman. First thing on the agenda is escrow. We have item number 25-19A for JAL LLC.
Thank you. This is for Denali Estates, phases 2 and 3. The developer is JAL LLC. It's a performance bond for parcel IDs 1158-8 through 12, 14-13 and 14-15. The request is to approve release number 1 in the amount of $957,410.65 on performance bond number 0122146151, issued by Ohio Casualty Insurance Company, and to request a replacement bond in the amount of $248,112.50 for the above noted project. We would rescind approval 2519 from the last meeting, as that had been for the incorrect project.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, so incorrect project.
There's 2 escrows out for Denali Estates. They're both for 1.2 million in change. So the cover sheet did not match the request last meeting. So this matches the actual request to release.
Because the second sheet actually includes a completely approved and signed release, so that confused me.
Correct. So the cover sheet was incorrect last meeting, but all of the backup material was for phase 2 and 3. The cover sheet reflected phase 4. So we're correcting that action this evening.
Okay, did you have a question, Mr. O'Connor?
Go ahead.
All right, any other questions?
And if you have no further questions on it, then I move to accept.
Second. Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Malamy to accept the release and replacement as presented. I'll poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Churchiello?
I need to abstain.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Next is approval of minutes. We have before us the minutes of September 3rd. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Are there any errors or omissions noted?
Seeing nobody come forward, Mr. Chair, then I move to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Malaby to accept the minutes as written. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fisherman?
Yes.
Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Churchill?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Correspondence.
Late breaking news, Mr. Chair. We have a piece of correspondence here, a letter from Malcolm Bliss. He is the Senior Director of Power Markets with Kearsarge Energy, and it is, I will charitably refer to this as a solicitation letter. He's looking to have Derry join the state of New Hampshire, a few communities, to receive payments under New Hampshire's Group Net Metering Program. So it's a solar program, and in the few minutes I've had to read this, it looks like you receive a payment for the energy that they're able to obtain on Derry's land.
So I am aware that we have a net zero committee, and I'm aware that there's probably some things that were held over from previous years regarding activities the town was at least looking at. So this probably should be addressed to that committee if it hasn't been sent to them as well. And at some point when it's convenient, maybe we should get an update on what's going on with that particular town committee.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. O'Connor.
I, as a former planning chairman, now vice chair, I am a member of the Net Zero. If you want, I can take that down there, because there's certain things that we're working on regarding the Net Zero.
Sure.
And I can go into later on, we have time.
I'm fairly sure that if they're smart, they send a copy to them, but,
I'll
and
give it to her and get some copies.
get a photocopy, and then you can take one down to them. Okay, great.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Churchill.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing quick. So prior, I was on the town council. We have an agreement with a company with the solar panels that we have now in the old not transfer station, the old dump, actually. So we already have an agreement with that company.
Revision.
They put all of the solar panels up, and in return, we get electricity at 6 cents a kilowatt hour once that gets up and running.
For 25 years.
That's something completely different, but maybe for future talks. But we're already with a company now with the solar that we have.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. So if you are still involved with that, maybe at some point we can put you on the agenda to give us just a quick update on what's going on there. Okay?
Yeah, we have a meeting tomorrow night.
Next item on the agenda is architectural design review for a sign in the traditional business overlay district, parcel ID 3014729, East Broadway, Unit 3, Habitat Barber Shop.
Okay, so as the board's aware, in the traditional business overlay district, there is a requirement that any sign proposed in the district come before the planning board for review. The board is looking at the design of the sign to ensure that it complements the architectural design of the buildings and the surroundings. Habitat Barbershop has opened in the downtown and has provided a rendering of its sign for the board's review. Kevin Sawyer, the proprietor, is here to answer any questions if there are any, and the recommendation would be to approve.
I will note that they have apparently taken some pains to use colors in their sign that reflect existing colors in both nearby buildings, so kudos for that. And it is obviously mounted in an existing frame, so the size and height is fine. Any other comments, questions? Mr. Churchill?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. So I see the sign, which looks fine. I just want to know what's going on against the building. The photo that I have here, hard to make out what that is.
There used to be a little gift shop there. I think that's.
There was a sign here.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is the remnants of a previous sign that got peeled off.
So my question is there going to be two signs?
Would you please come forward, give your name and address for the record, and answer Mr. Churchill's question? You need to come up to the mic so that we can get you for TV.
Here's your chance for free advertisement.
Yeah, you're 15 minutes of fame. Either one.
Yeah, just make sure the green
Just
light's
sit down and get close.
Thanks for having me. My name is Kevin Sawyer. I live at 17 Fairway Drive in Derry, New Hampshire. So the sign that's underneath there that's up against the building was yes, that is a sign that is still currently up. We do have plans to replace that one eventually. We have a sign painter who actually hand painted our Habitat sign. He's going to end up doing that one later on. It'll probably just say barber shop.
Okay.
But if anybody wants a haircut, come on down.
I probably won't visit you, but thank you for the invite.
We do hot towel shaves.
Hometown.
Any other comments or questions?
What I do, will the board want to see that rendering, or is this discussion
Yeah, if
enough?
there's an additional sign, I think we do need to, yes.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. We can provide that.
Yep, thank you very much for
I'll make
for
sure to
coming.
do that before I hang it up. Sorry about that.
All right, motion?
Mr. Chair, I moved pursuant to the Town of Derry zoning ordinance, Article 12, signs, Section 165-101.5, signs in the TBOD to approve the sign design presented for Habitat Barber Shop Parcel 30147, 29 East Broadway, Unit 3 as presented. The board finds the sign is compatible with the surrounding buildings, meets the regulations contained in the ordinance, and complements the surrounding architect.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Malamy to approve the sign as presented. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Chiricello?
Yes.
Malamy?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have Planning Director and Chairman updates.
Okay, so just a reminder, there will be no meeting on November 5th. We're nearing, we're starting to get close to the deadline for that, and it doesn't look like we'll be getting any plans in for that meeting anyways, so that will work out. I did want to just remind everyone and advise you that New Hampshire DOT will be having its first one of the GATS's hearings for the 10-year transportation plan here at the Derry Municipal Center on September 29th. The meeting begins at 6. I believe what happens is at 6 they have the kind of free-form information session where you can come in and, talk to DOT reps, take a look at the maps and the plans, and then it begins after that.
Liz, do we know if the Derry has any projects in that 10-year plan?
We still have some in the 10-year plan, but I don't, as my memory serves, none of our projects were affected by any of the fiscal changes.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chair, I can
Mr. O'Connor?
follow up on that a little bit. On the 10-year plan, it's for 2027 to 2036. And this 10-year plan is coming out from the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, which I'm also on that one there. So inside the 10-year plan, the money that's being allocated is listed, and it's listed by year. And some of it's still pending because the federal government is reducing considerably how much we used to get on the whole DOT. So, for example, Exit 4A, they still have another $234,073 to go. Then the next one they have, and that's in the year 2027. In the year, again, 2027, the rail trail will get $392,000 to work on that for that year. Then in the year 2028, the rail trail will get $409,000 to finish the rail trail. So it's a total of roughly about $800,000. And then the last one, which is a big one, and it won't start till the year 2028, is the Chenille Road from the police department to 102, and that's $32 million. And the executive council is the one that does the presentation.
Yeah.
Coming in down here, I think we said it's September 29th, I believe.
29th.
Janet Stevens is our executive counsel, and she represents approximately 33 towns within her district area. So it's not only are they talking about Derry, they're talking about other areas of our responsibility. But here's your chance to be able to, put more weight into it and or ask more questions. But that's where the money is right now is allocated for. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to take the time.
Oh, great, thank you.
Can I add on? Real briefly?
Is it,
It's pertinent to what Mr. O'Connor
all right,
mentioned.
go ahead.
Yeah, so Janice Stevens is the executive counselor. I would recommend that we show up to that meeting, even though it's in there. I do recall an issue, not Derry, but another town that didn't show up for something, and they moved money around. Derry being the fourth largest, and this project being very important, it would behoove us to be there and vocal with Councilor Stevens.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Anything else, Ms. Robideau?
No.
Okay, well, you currently have a full roster of members, so I'm happy, and I got nothing. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for Shade Tree Farm LLC, parcel ID 07084-00362 Drew Road, parcel ID 1011396 Drew Road, for a lot line adjustment, and it has been continued from August 6th of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Following the Zoning Board of Adjustment denial of a variance for the applicant has asked that we withdraw the application without prejudice because they did not receive the variance that they needed for insufficient frontage. They aren't able to move forward with the project at this time.
Okay, so I will solicit such a motion, and for those in the public who may not understand, when we make a motion to withdraw without prejudice, that means that they may come back at any time. It is not the same in any way as a denial. So who would like to make the motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to allow withdrawal of the application without prejudice at the request of the applicant. And I so move.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Maloney, to allow withdrawal without prejudice. I will poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Chiricello?
Yes.
Mr. Malamy?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So the next item on the public hearing agenda is 5 B Street LLC, parcel ID 08001-010 B Street.
Okay. So the proposal before the board this evening is to construct a 7,700 square feet commercial building with supporting infrastructure. Customer parking will be to the front with proposed secured vehicle parking to the rear. The site's currently vacant and is adjacent to the Londonderry Town Line. The proposed use is auto repair without bodywork, which is a permitted use in the Industrial 4 zoning district. The parcel has frontage on B Street, and to the south is a non-maintained portion of Franklin Street extension. There's an access easement proposed to benefit the adjacent parcel in the town of Londonderry for future development on the Londonderry lot. The access is intended to be a shared private driveway, which would be designed and constructed as a phased site plan application or permit at the time that lot in Londonderry is developed. There's a 30-foot wide railroad easement noted on the plan, and I would ask you to refer to Sheet 2, Note 9 for a more detailed explanation of that status. The proposed plan meets applicable zoning requirements, and the proposed parking for the site appears to be adequate. Wright Pierce is providing the third-party review. Utilities are proposed to be municipal water and sewer, underground electric, and natural gas. As the proposal is directly on the town line with Londonderry, RSA 674-53-2 and Section 4 apply. We received a letter or memo from Londonderry on Monday in response to that request. Any future development that utilized the driveway crossing between the municipalities would require a separate review, so that speaks to the requirements in 674-53. They also weighed in on regional impact, understanding that we were the board would be making a determination about that this evening. And they said the only criteria that was even relevant was that it was on a town line, but they did not feel that was enough to create a need for regional impact. As staff reviewed the project, we looked at traffic. Based on the supplied traffic summary, this use has very low traffic volume and will add little additional traffic into the adjoining community. There were no ZBA approvals required. There's no wetlands on the property. Neither Conservation Commission nor Highway Safety were required to review the application. There are no real architectural elements along the walls proposed, other than the required man doors and a few windows. I would note the Industrial 4 District requires a medium-high level of compliance with the architectural design regulations, and I would suggest the board discuss the proposed design in relation to where that lot is located. At this time, there was no proposal to add a monument-type sign. The only signage is proposed on the building. We'd suggest that any future monument sign would be provided to the board for administrative review if they ever decide to do one. For regional impact, based on prior input from Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, without direct impacts to the abutting property in Londonderry, without traffic impacts or impacts to shared facilities, this development might not qualify for regional impact. Attorney Panciocco shared that opinion, and she provided a letter dated September 3rd. She represents the applicant. With regard to waivers, we have 3 waivers. One was submitted late yesterday. We have a waiver to allow a dumpster less than 25 feet from the property line, a waiver to not construct sidewalks, and then also a waiver to not require the landscape islands. Other required permits would be the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, and would recommend that you review the application, the waiver requests, the architectural design submission, and make a determination with regard to regional impact. This evening, you have Tim Laporte from the debate group representing the applicants.
So,
Point.
before we get going, I have a technical question.
Yeah.
The existing conditions plan shows what appears to be a building with a corner of it clipped by the Londonderry town line, and all the other pages show a significant distance between that town line and a parking lot. Is there to be demolition of a significant structure there?
I believe there was a small shed there, and I believe that's been removed.
No, this is not a small shed. If you look at sheet 2, it's a big building. So, do we have a sheet in this plan set that doesn't belong?
What are we looking at?
You said sheet, oh, there's 2 sheet 2s.
I'm literally just confused and want clarification.
Yeah, please, because I'm not seeing it.
Tim Laporte from the debate group. So I've been the one working on the plans. We do have I talked to our surveyor about this. We do have a small issue where we do have 2 sheet 2s, so we're getting that fixed. But I think the small corner of the large building that you're referring to is on map 8 lot 1-6, and we're on map 8 lot 1-10. So that large building has that corner clipped over the line is not on our property. There is a small abandoned utility building that is on our property, and we are underway with a demo permit on that.
So, if I can restate what you're saying, the existing conditions plan, sheet 2 of 17, shows a parcel that is not within the jurisdiction of this application.
Part of the requirements is to show buildings on neighboring lots, and that's just a building on a neighboring lot.
Okay, yeah, and it's sort of a site locus, sure.
Yep.
Let it be known that sheet 2 of 17 is not actually part of what we're approving because it is a different parcel.
There's 2 sheets of 2.
Our parcel is map 8 lot 1-10, which is shown on the existing conditions plan.
The general notes. Sheet 2 of 17 here also.
Oh,
If it's actually, yeah, though.
all right, so you got apparently duplicate numbering because all of the notes is also called sheet 2 of 2. So you probably want to fix that before we do the final recording, please?
We will fix that, yeah.
All right. Having cleared up that major confusion in my mind, let's go on to talking about jurisdiction.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I move to accept jurisdiction of the site plan relating to a 7,700 square foot auto repair facility before the board for 5 B Street LLC PID 08001-010, 5B Street.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Malby to accept restriction. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Chercello?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. We need to formally vote on determination of regional impact. Who would like to make the motion?
Mr. Chair, pursuant to RSA 36:56, the board finds the proposal as presented at this time meets the definition of a development of regional impact.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Malaby, and we, as we always do, we'll start with Mr. Chase.
No, even though this development is bordering the town of Londonderry, nothing will be shared with them, no drive, no utilities, no resources or anything like that, so it does not meet the determination of a regional impact.
Mr. Healy?
No, for the same reasons.
Mr. O'Connor?
I agree with my colleagues. No.
Mr. Fisherman?
No regional impact for the same reasons.
Mr. Mousy?
No regional impact for the same reasons.
Mr. Chercello?
I agree with everybody specifically because the bridge on Codyville Road is closed, so there is no traffic coming through the Derrys.
At this time.
Mr. Malaby?
No, for the same reasons.
And chair votes no for the same reasons. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Moved by, who made the motion? Mr. Chercello, seconded by Malaby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is open. Maybe the applicant would like to come forward and give us an executive summary of their proposal and specifically address the waivers requested and the justifications therefore.
Sure. My name's Tim Laporte. Like I said earlier, I'm here with, I'm part of the debate group, and I'm here with Dylan Bergeron, who is the landowner. So, I mean, Liz kind of gave us a pretty good summary up front, but just to kind of recap a little bit, this is for an auto repair facility, I guess you could say. The intent is to have public parking in the front where people could drop off their vehicles, and then private secured parking in the back for the storage of the vehicles. There is a fence, a privacy fence around that secured back area, as well as gates. Utilities we went through, access. Yeah, so jumping into those waiver requests. So we have, as Liz was saying, we have 3 waiver requests. So the first waiver request is for the dumpster to be within 25 feet of the boundary line. The reason that we have it pushed back that way is to allow for trucks to be able to maneuver around, specifically fire trucks, or if there is a need to have a tow truck drop off a vehicle in the back area. And it is screened with both plantings as well as a privacy fence. And the 25-foot, the location that is closer than 25 foot is the Franklin Street extension, which is a discontinued road currently. The waiver for not allowing sidewalks, there's not really any need for a pedestrian to be able to get to the back of the area, to the back of the parking lot, because there's no, it's secured parking and you can cut through the building. There's doors through the building. And there's no sidewalks on B Street either, so there's not really a need to have any sidewalks on this property. The final waiver is to request to have less than 5% interior landscape green space in the rear parking lot. Since it is over 20 spaces, we do have landscaping around the perimeter of it. However, to meet the parking requirements on this project, if we were to add additional green space in the middle, we would have to take out parking spaces. That area, like I said before, has a screen fence around the outside, and there are plantings within the fenced area, and it is also not meant for public use per se.
All right, thank you very much. I do have one question on legal status of streets. I think you said that Franklin Street extension was discontinued. However, the notes here said it is Class 5, which means it is currently a public right-of-way. It just says it's not maintained.
Right.
But if it's a Class 5 highway, you can still legally drive over it, even though the town isn't maintaining it. The bridge is closed, and on the other sheet 2, which shows the whole locus, it says that Codyville Road, which is on the other side of the town line, is also Class 5, and it isn't maintained up to the bridge. So I'd like to get clarification on what we're talking about for easements and whether we are under the misapprehension that these are discontinued or whether the notes on the plan are wrong.
I think I just misspoke when I said discontinued. I should have said not maintained. There is also a dirt mound blocking this from public access as well, so I think that's part of the confusion.
So at some future point, if there needs to be access across the Franklin Street extension and Codyville Road, all that has to happen is the town of Derry and town of Londonderry have to start maintaining the roads. They're already public highways.
Mr. Chairman, can I chime in as a long-term person who's lived in Derry for many years? That used to be a cut-through road, and people used that road to get to Londonderry, but they closed it on purpose because it had issues, right, Mark?
Yeah, the bridge is in disrepair. Can't be used any longer.
So no one wanted to repair that, but I was on the same path as you. It is a Class 5, and I was going to mention that because the public can use that till it stops. That's one of the issues that I have, but...
Yeah, so I want to clarify whether we really do need easements or whether we simply need the respective towns to resume maintenance and take out the blocking dirt pile.
Yeah, if we were to discontinue, it would fall to the property owner, Hydrax, I believe, but...
Well, and that would require the town council's action.
Right.
So can we get a clarification on the legal status of these streets?
We can. I mean, if they're, I mean, I don't think they'll ever, at this, well, anytime soon, that they would ever be opened. But where it would take an action by town council to do that.
I'm not sure about the steps, but I know that we have to keep it barricaded because it's an unsafe passageway. So I don't think anything's changed. I don't think anybody went through the process of changing this Class 5 or Class 6 or discontinued designation based on not knowing what direction this would go in. I think it was more of a need to keep, the bridge was falling apart, and I don't believe it's in the best interest of both communities to have a cut through there, because then it would allow for more traffic through the neighborhood to get to 28. And I think that was the main reason, because it was unsafe to have people coming in on 28 from that residential area.
It was an old rickety bridge.
Sure, but I did hear something about an easement for the benefit of someone who wants to build in Londonderry, and I don't know where that is.
That is on the north side, so it would be on the north side of the building as you look at the plan.
Yeah, so where our current driveway is, on the top of the plan, there's a 24-foot wide driveway there, and we're putting that in an access easement to access what is the parcel on the left as you're looking at the plan.
Can you go to the sheet you're discussing? Can you put it up on the screen?
Could you go to maybe either of the sheets?
That's probably a good sheet right there, actually, because that shows our easement at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the parcel on the left is the piece in Londonderry, which would not have frontage on, or does not have frontage on another road. It has a gravel driveway that goes through this property that the people have been using for a while now. So we are giving them an easement to be able to, in the case of a future development, extend this driveway into their property.
Yeah, it's not a road, it's a driveway.
It's not a road, correct.
So they would not be interested in using either of the currently not maintained Class 5 highways, Franklin Street Extension or Codyville. They want something else entirely, right?
I mean, they do have that option when they go to develop. However, they wanted us to leave that access easement as an option for them.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out that sheet 52 of 52 shows the extent of the property going into Londonderry.
Sheet which?
52 of 52.
52?
I only go up to...
We don't go that high.
S2.
S2. Sorry, I don't have my glasses.
Oh, yeah.
So we put S sheets together, S1 and S2, and this was for
Oh,
the
yeah, it's not a
intent
52,
to-
that's an S2.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
got it.
This is for the intent of someone in Londonderry, because we do have a swale that is discharging onto the Londonderry lot. We have a drainage easement for that, which was by the request of the lot owner on the left lot in Londonderry. So we wanted to have, Londonderry's been reviewing these plans as well. So we've given them sheets that have some detailing as well as an overview of the project, just for their benefit.
Okay, great.
Question.
Joe?
Yeah. So, Mark, even though I guess it's not maintained because nobody's using it, it's still class 5, right? So the
Yes.
public can use it at any time. That's number one.
Right.
The second issue that I just wanted to bring up is the fact that that old railroad bed is going to be the bike path, correct?
Yes.
So you understand that fence, there will be public going by there? So you're probably going to want to be cognizant of that fact that people can drive down that road publicly, legally, and then you're going to have, I guess the bike path's going to have to go under that old crappy bridge.
Right.
Pardon me.
Correct.
So they're going to have to do something with that.
There's definitely I believe the structure is partially fallen
Yeah.
in sections, so
So whether the bike path goes over or under, we don't know yet, but
it's going to follow under, but I don't know to what degree we have to remove the upper structure.
okay. But I just want the applicant to understand that you will have pedestrians.
Yeah, we
Going
will
back
have
and forth.
pedestrians in that area, yes, but at the same time, the dumpster would not necessarily be decreasing a property value by having it within 25 feet.
No,
is
no,
kind of my
I wasn't
intent.
trying to make that point.
Yep.
Yeah, he was just indicating you've got a security fence and you've got all sorts of access to just the other side of it.
Yeah, if you're parking expensive cars out there, I would invest in high fences and whatnot, but that's all.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board before we go to the public? Hearing none, is there anyone in the room who has comments or questions on this application? Seeing none, is there anyone online? Okay, seeing no comment from the public, if there's no more comments from the board, we can move to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Malaby to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. I guess the first thing after that is to deal with waivers.
Based on the type of waivers, Mr. Chair, it was the body here not be
So there
opposed.
are three of them apparently, and they're on a separate memorandum.
Do each one individually.
Is there any objection from the board to treat them as the single approval, or do we want to do them onesies?
One's sidewalks, one's solid waste, and the last one is, yeah, I think we can do them all.
Hearing no objection, we will move all of them at once.
Okay, well then, Mr. Chair, the first one, the applicant respectfully requests a waiver from section 170-67.B.1 to allow solid waste storage to be within 25 feet of the boundary line. The proposed dumpster is located 17.6 feet from the property line and is screened with plantings and as well as privacy fence. The boundary line is abutting a discontinued section of Franklin Street extensions, so no abutter will have a dumpster closer than 25 feet from the property.
We might want to change that wording
Change.
because it's not actually discontinued. Currently non-maintained, I think is the word.
Yeah,
That will be for the rest of them too, I think.
yeah, good catch, Dave.
And I'll accept it as a friendly amendment. Going on to number 2, waiver of section 170-62.A.5 of the site plan regulations. The applicant respectfully requests a waiver from section 170-62.A.5 to allow sidewalks to not be constructed on site. There are no sidewalks in the road on B Street, and on the site used is for cars, not pedestrians. If a customer drops off a vehicle, they will walk across the drive aisle to the main door. There's no need for a customer to walk around to the rear of the building for any reason. Going on to the last waiver, section 17063.A.8 of the site plan regulations. The applicant respectfully requests a waiver from the section 170-63.A.8 to allow less than 5% interior landscape green space in the rear parking lot. The rear parking lot has a privacy fence on all sides and is meant more for vehicle storage than public use. There is a green space on the exterior of the parking lot that is within the privacy fence of all sides, which will met the intent of having landscape areas while the parking lot, if parking spaces were removed to provide landscaping, then the parking requirements would not be met. And I so move.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Mallaby to grant 3 waivers. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Healy.
So that was from the memorandum. I noticed that partially through Mr. O'Connor reading it. Should we be reading the waivers as suggested by our planning director on the actual motions?
I would suggest that for the dumpster waiver and for the landscape islands, that strict conformity to the regulations would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant. And then for the sidewalk, it's more the conditions of the land and such plan that would, be a reason to grant the waiver. And those would be findings of the board that would, we could iterate those in a notice of decision.
Okay. I was just reacting to the fact that they had 3 and you had only 2.
Correct. So the landscape one that would, if you had to do a finding, it would be more that strict conformity would be an unnecessary hardship.
Okay.
For each waiver.
Mr.
yeah.
Healy, do we want to actually wordsmith this?
I can withdraw the motions and start over again.
I think it would be acceptable. The reasons for the waivers were iterated by Mr. O'Connor, and then findings of fact for why you would grant a waiver were just explained, and we could ensure that that was captured on the notice of decision if the board approved.
So if there's no objection, can we add the language that the planning director has articulated as the reasons for accepting the waivers as a friendly amendment to this? And will the clerk capture that, please? Okay. Any other questions or issues?
No, I just want to reiterate the fact that the memorandum has discontinued on it, and that definitely needs to be stricken, even if there's anything saying discontinued in any of the plat
Okay.
stuff. It needs to be corrected.
All right, that should be a condition of approval, and we can note that
Yeah.
too.
Just want to be sure that's on.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Mauzy?
Yes.
Mr. Cherichello?
Yes.
Mr. Mallaby?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. On the architectural design regulations? My observation is that for an industrial district, this looks just fine.
There's granite on it. It's like granite on it,
Oh, there you go.
the bottom.
Nice job.
We'd like to make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, move to find pursuant to LDCR 170-85 that the application as presented demonstrates substantial compliance with the architectural design regulations. This property is located in the Industrial 4 zoning district and meets a medium/high of compliance as outlined in section 170-84.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Mallaby to approve the architecturals. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Mauzy?
Yes.
Cherichello?
Yes.
Mr. Mallaby?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Moving on to findings of fact.
Oh, God.
We can have someone else
I'm just
spell you if you'd like.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, the board finds the proposed plan provides safe and efficient vehicular and pedestrian access, and the design and construction of the access ways and walkways is adequate to accommodate the anticipated volume of traffic proposed by the development. The board finds the proposed parking plan is adequate for the site and meets the parking density requirements for the use. The board finds the landscape plan meets the intent of the regulations. The board finds the stormwater management as proposed is designed to control the post-development runoff so that it does not exceed pre-development runoff. The board finds the utility construction standards are met and the property has a sufficient number of hydrants for the proposed use. The board finds exterior lighting, snow storage provisions, and erosion and sediment control provisions are adequate. The board finds the proposal for storage of solid waste and disposal of waste conforms with any and all applicable local, state, and federal regulations, and the applicant has provided reasonable safeguards ensuring such waste will not become an undue threat to the environment nor create an undue nuisance. So moved.
Second.
So, moved by Malaby, seconded by Churchill?
Yeah, I guess.
Yes, someone. All right, any discussion on the findings of fact? If not,
It's just a quick question, Mr. Chairman, because we didn't really get into any lighting. I know there's lighting in here. I don't see any lighting in the photos, but
The lighting system's in here, but it's also mentioned on the third-party review that they discussed it and they reestablished the lumens, so at the edge of the lighting area, it
Yeah.
falls right off.
so you definitely have lighting. It's the light packs that go in the building? John, what page did you see that at? Oh, 9.
Yeah, Wright Pierce, that was a discussion
So-
Wright Pierce had.
To address we actually have addressed all the Wright Pierce comments, and we reissued plans today, actually, this morning. So there were some comments about the lighting. One of them was relating to that bottom right corner being a little too dull. And we have addressed the lighting, so we added another pole in that area to address that.
Okay. Do you know if the lights are on constantly, or will they shut off after hours, or?
I believe they would, I'm not entirely sure on
Yeah.
that, if I'm going to be
Now that you
completely
know that the
honest.
bike path's going to go through there eventually, I don't know what the plans are, but
Right, yeah. I would assume, just like any other light, that they wouldn't be on constantly. I would assume that they would be on.
off at certain times. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you for indulging me on that.
okay, yep. Anything else? Okay, Mr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Fishman,
Yes.
Mr. Mauzy,
Yes.
Mr. Churchill?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. And on the matter of approval,
Mr. Chair, after review and deliberation of the site plan application for PID 08001-010 5B Street LLC, the board finds the applicant has satisfied the general requirements of the Land Development Control Regulations, or in cases where the regulation cannot be met, has satisfied the waiver requirements. Therefore, the motion is to approve pursuant to RSA 676:4 Roman 1, completed application with the following conditions. Comply with the Wright Pierce review letter and subsequent reviews, subject to owner's signature, subject to on-site inspection by the town's engineer, establish appropriate escrow as required to complete the project, note approved waivers on the plan, obtain written approval from the planning director designee that the GIS submission is received and is operable and it complies with LDCR section 170-61C, subject to receipt of applicable state or local permits relating to the project, add additional boundaries for the lot on the Londonderry side, configure changes as necessary for the roof drain collection system, which must be corrected to the satisfaction of Derry DPW. The head wall detail for the outlet of the detention pond must be modified to illustrate what is proposed on the plan view. Additional protection and detail will be required around the proposed sewer cleanout. Modify the trench patch details to include temporary pavement and final pavement details. Conditions precedent shall be met within 6 months. Provide a copy of the recorded access agreement to the Derry Planning Department. Planning Board administrative review of signage not proposed to be on the building prior to the issuance of the sign permit.
So, so moved by
And Mr. Chair,
Melby, seconded by Mr. Churchiello.
were we going to add the condition of striking all language pertaining to the discontinued road?
Is that actually on the plan? Well, you can add it as a condition. It's a no-brainer. I had a question about the last, second to the last, recorded access agreement. So what is it? An access agreement, an easement? What is it?
It's the access agreement between, that's the driveway access agreement that,
So, but is it an access agreement or is it an easement?
easement.
All right, so if we're recording it, it's probably, yeah, so change that to provide a copy of the recorded driveway easement.
Okay, we'll correct that.
Okay, anything else? Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mauzy?
Yes.
Mr. Churchiello?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Derry.
Welcome.
It says on here, access easement, so it's already recorded.
Yeah, and we just want to write in our notice of decision. Okay, next, we have workshop number 2 for review of the proposed changes to the Town of Derry zoning ordinance and land development control regulations to bring the town regulations in compliance with recent state legislative amendments.
Okay. That will be for the second one, Owen, but we can leave it up. All right, so since the last workshop, staff reached out to legal counsel for clarification on some of the new legislation. The language has been updated to include advice from legal counsel. Relative to HB 631, commercially zoned land is land in any district where commercial uses are permitted as a matter of right. The board still has the discretion to determine if the existing road and water or sewer services are adequate to support the development. The multifamily developments do not need to be mixed use, I had to get that clarified, but it can be if that's the choice of the municipality. If the multifamily is to be mixed use, the board can stipulate the percentage of non-residential use which may but does not have to be limited to the first floor. The board has the discretion to allow multifamily, or the board has the discretion to show multifamily can be supported on a specific lot when an application comes to the board. So going through the changes, relative to HB 296, which has to do with private roads, this law became effective on September 13th. The new language provides an additional option for how a building permit on a private road can be issued. And so proposed changes are as follows. Vesting. It amends the LDCR provisions related to substantial completion. The vesting period has been increased in Derry's regulation from 4 to 7 years. It was increased a few years ago to 5, and we never updated that in our regs. So we'll cover all of that this time around. Bless you. The language also adds the 3-year look-back period. For accessory dwelling units, the amendments are to the ADU provisions in the zoning ordinance to update the definitions for attached and detached, amends the provision that restricts only 1 dwelling unit per lot, allows 1 detached ADU as a matter of right, provides parking provisions, and amends the total number of permitted bedrooms, square foot allowance, and clarifies egress requirements. For on-site parking, the proposed amends the LDCR and zoning ordinance provisions relating to parking in manufactured housing parks in the TBOD for 55-plus developments and for multifamily dwelling units. ZBA appeals. This amends the zoning ordinance to note that administrative appeals to the zoning board must be filed within 30 days of the issuance of an official decision. And that speaks to appeals that someone would file based on a decision of the zoning officer. For SB 281, this is one that doesn't become effective until July 1st of 2026. This is building permits on Class 6 roads. It amends the ordinance to add a requirement to file a waiver of municipal liability at the Registry of Deeds and to provide a copy of the recorded document plus proof that the lot and the buildings are insurable as part of your building permit application. Services in this section means plowing and water and sewer infrastructure. In Derry, it does not mean emergency services provided by fire and police. I did speak with both the fire and police chiefs or communicated with them, and they confirmed that emergency services are available to all residents, but did acknowledge response could be delayed in some instances based on access issues. There are some roads that access may be difficult. Multifamily and commercial zones, this one also takes effect, the law takes effect next July. Amends the zoning ordinance to permit multifamily in districts that permit commercial use. The board should determine whether it wants to permit multifamily as a mixed use or not. And if so, do you want to restrict the non-residential use to the first floor or as a percentage of the entire gross square feet of the building? The language presented to you this evening includes permitting through a conditional use permit, and the thought behind that was to ensure that multifamily in these districts would not unduly burden or be unduly burdened by adjacent commercial and industrial uses. So I'd ask that tonight if we could review the language, maybe go just page by page and just agree. Provide clarification for the proposed wording on zoning ordinance, and that should be 16525F. Changes can be incorporated into a clean document, which can be presented to the board at the October 1st meeting, at which time we can schedule a public hearing for October 15th. Following this evening, if we get through all of the changes, they'll all be incorporated. That will go to legal before you get your clean document.
So, question for you, Madam Director. Would we be better off immediately enacting changes to our zoning ordinance in advance of the state's legal effectivity date, or should we hold that off given that there's 9 months for the legislature to do something?
I think that you will likely not see changes to relating to HB 631, but it may be prudent to hold off on the Class 6 road one. I don't know that we need to change that one right away. Those are the only two that will go into effect next year that are here.
On that particular bill with the, a waiver has to be created, right? If you're doing a permit on a private road.
No, private or Class 6, which?
Well, what does the law say?
Well, there's two different here. There's one that speaks to private roads, which really just allows you to skip over the planning board review.
Right, but that one there in particular, because we have no kind of control over what the private road looks like. It could be an old logging road for all we know. But you had mentioned a waiver gets signed. Recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
For a Class 6, for if someone wants a building permit on a Class 6 road, before they can get the building permit, they have to file that waiver of municipal liability at the registry, so it becomes attached to their deed, and they have to provide proof of insurance.
And that's the point what I'm trying to make. So who reviews that they've got insurance, and who's checking on that?
That would be the code enforcement officer at the time. It would be come in as part of the building permit application.
So I just want to make sure that we're checking on that, because for some strange reason, I can see somewhere down the line somebody taking someone to court if a house, God forbid, catches on fire.
That one, yeah.
And even though they signed the waiver, you're going to hear the old, well, I pay the same amount of taxes as everybody else. I'm just concerned that that's ironclad. They sign the waiver, and they have to prove that they can get insurance. The insurance company knows that, hey, they could be on the hook. We don't have to necessarily provide, you know what I'm saying? Because again, well, you're saying Class 6, it's a public way, but I don't know, are there any specifics on Class 6 roads? I mean, like private road, like I had mentioned before, which is different, could be an old logging road.
Well, I think that the legal difference is A Class 6 road typically does not have public maintenance, but it's still public.
way.
It is still public property, and people may still drive over it. Whereas a private road is simply private property.
Right.
It's sort of like an extended driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have your emergency, what's the other designation, emergency access roads? That's another designation.
Those are different, yeah.
Right.
I mean, for that particular one, because I have a feeling there may be some pushback on that, because
Yeah.
the points that you're raising, I think, are concerns in every municipality. I know that there's going to be a discussion in Raymond, I think it's at the end of the month,
Okay.
about some of these laws. So that particular one, if maybe the board wants to wait and see how that shakes out, maybe we take that off the table for now, anything related to SB 281.
Yeah.
Until we
So the only
figure that out.
bill that's current now is the ADU bill?
All of them are current today, with the exception of things relative to HB 631 and SB 281.
Okay, the rest are in play right now.
They are.
Okay. We can hold off on the other ones and then just deal with the ones we have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, if we haven't done all the work, it should be an expedited process to get them through once we get closer to July and make sure that they're going to stay as passed.
Okay, and that would be for 281 and 631?
Well, I mean, we're guessing what's going to happen in the next 9 months, right?
Yeah.
And we're monitoring it, so I don't think
Okay.
if it becomes a reality, then we can make the change pretty easy.
Which one? I can't read that fine print, John, so I'm sorry. Which, yeah, what law number?
This one here is
296?
296, is the one we're talking about, Class 6 roads.
That's
296?
That's private roads.
After
Different.
establishing that the-
That's a private road, not Class 6, John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those sometimes, they do get confused sometimes.
Yeah, we got multiple things going on here.
Okay, all right, so,
Multiple kinds of roads.
yeah, so maybe we could go like page by page, and then if there's anything related to 631, we can take it out, or you can discuss it further, whichever you like. Just want to make sure that the wording is, there's a couple of places in here where it's like, you could do this or you could do that, so we want to just firm that up.
All right, so the first one that appears on our sheet is with respect to substantial completion, and that's a pretty cut and dry
Right.
change, right? Anyone have any issues with that?
And we can't change anything, so it is law.
In terms of the definitions,
Those are state definitions.
yeah, we probably don't have much wiggle room there either. On the other, next page, number of buildings per lot, we're adding, or in the case of an accessory dwelling unit, which provides an exception for that, so that probably pretty cut and dry. 16525 accessory dwelling units.
I do have a question on that.
On which, the 16525?
Yeah, because I was watching a zoning meeting at one time, and I think it was an applicant that came in that actually had, I don't know if it was a split level home, and they already had a second kitchen down below. They mentioned something about maybe moving the kitchen out, but doing it detached. So I want to make sure that we're not doing two ADUs.
Yeah,
See
there's,
what I'm saying? Because it's hard, if you're, especially like in a split level home, it's so easy because sometimes they have their own entryways, you know? We want to make sure that, that if we grant an ADU, it's one ADU and that's it.
and the building department has been reviewing those. I believe there's an application going before the ZBA coming up where someone's asking for two ADUs on
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I think that's the same one.
code enforcement is very aware there's only one allowed per lot.
Yeah, but the ZBA has authority to grant variances for anything in the zoning ordinance, including adding more ADUs than are allowed. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
yes,
the way it works.
understood, but it needs to be kind of spelled out that,
Well, let's be careful. I mean, I know that there's multiple sections that talk about ADUs, and we're just looking at pieces of them. Where does it say that you may have exactly one attached and one detached,
By right.
but not any more than that?
Yeah, because it's by right. What I'm afraid of is someone just, if you don't know about the basement ADU, and you
Well-
apply, and you just, by right, you can do it detached, and you start building that, then
Well, I guess if somebody has a second kitchen because they're doing baked cookies, is that an ADU? I'm not sure that alone would necessarily be interpreted by code enforcement to be an ADU if the old families often had a summer and a winter kitchen, so.
Yeah, it needs a kitchen,
Well,
a
you're talking
living
about a
room, a
stove,
bathroom, and
you don't need a
to 2
refrigerator,
bedrooms.
dishwasher, $10,000 stove to bake cookies, I don't think, but.
Well, I use cookies as a,
I know.
I could use pickles. Would that be more
No,
appropriate?
we're not going down that road.
Okay, we're not going down that road.
do you want to add, do you want to add a provision M that says there shall be no more than one ADU per?
By right? And if they wanted to, then like Dave mentioned.
I think you have to say, on a single parcel, there may be no more than one attached.
Or by right.
I thought they, now I'm confused, I thought they added detached as a use of right, and we already had attached in our ordinance.
Correct, but the state law says you're allowed one, so it can be attached or detached by right now.
They try to, there was a bill that they try to get multiples, but that.
Okay, all right, so I lost track of that. So it is, according to state law, just one, but it can be either.
Correct,
All
per
right.
state law.
Then we should say that.
Okay, so I can add M. On a single parcel, there may be no more than one attached or detached ADU by right.
Yep.
No, I would say, on a single parcel, there may be no more than a single ADU, which can be either attached or detached.
Yeah. And it's in the bill.
I want to be careful about the parsing of ors in these sentences.
Okay, let me reiterate that. On a single parcel, there may be no more than a single ADU, which may be attached or detached.
Yep,
Thank you.
I think that's pretty clear.
Okay.
What about the yellow highlighted things? Are those to be discussed?
Yes, for parking, it was, we are allowed because before they changed the parking, we had one additional off-street parking space shall be provided for an ADU, so we can leave that there, but I just wanted to note that that was there. On subsection F, you can word it either of these ways. So the ADU may be contained within or attached to the existing dwelling or be within a structure which is attached to the existing dwelling and include an interior door. This speaks to egress. You could change that whole section to say the attached dwelling units shall have either an independent means of ingress and egress or ingress and egress through a common space shared with the principal dwelling.
That's just a clarification of the language.
Yeah, so it's, you would choose either what's in yellow or go with what we have and just insert may
And would it be a
there.
violation if you had both?
I think it's saying the same thing, but in different ways.
No, I mean, if you had an attached ADU and it had an interior door, and it also had an exterior door, would that be unlawful?
As long as the interior door can't be locked.
No, it wouldn't, but they're talking about how you get into the
Attached
space.
accessory dwelling units shall have either an independent or a common. So either or means you can't have both. I'm questioning why that would be unlawful to have two doors in the place.
I don't know, it was the wording that was in I don't think it would be unlawful to have two ways in.
It just seems like what do I want to say? That seems like a legal restriction that has no valid public purpose and therefore is probably going to get tossed out. So
should we stay with our standard wording and just add may?
Basically you say
Mr. Chair?
either or both. Yes, Mr. Connor?
I'm going to read this quickly. Attached accessory dwelling units shall have either an independent means of ingress and egress or ingress and egress through a common space shared with the principal dwelling. However, the municipality should not limit the choice of egress or ingress.
Well, we can't choose which one, but I'm going further and saying that I don't think we should try to mandate that you only have one. I'm just saying that because while I understand what the legislature passed and the governor signed, I'm just thinking that's ripe for litigation. But
I think we might be okay with our existing language and just adding A, because what they're really talking about is when you have an attached unit, you can either go in through your own door, or you can go in, like other people do. You've seen it commonly. You go in through the breezeway that's between the two units and go in that way, and that's the common space.
okay, as long as we don't get into a situation where code enforcement is saying, well, you can't have it both ways, you can only have one door. I think that would be problematic, but maybe that's just a matter of interpretation.
All right, so just to clarify for this one, are we going with existing wording in may and get rid of the highlighted? I think it's more clear that way myself.
Well, it sounded like the old rule said that attached ADUs couldn't have an independent entrance. Right. For whatever reason.
That is true.
Now the state is saying, well, you could have one or the other, your choice. We could go with what the state says, and then if that gets overturned in the courts, we'll just change it again. Okay.
I would recommend potentially, so adding the first may, and then adding a second may, saying, and may include an interior door, which shall be provided between the principal dwelling and the accessory dwelling unit as the primary means of ingress and egress. I think that would add clarity.
What you said, and we'll take it from the tape, okay.
Okay, we're done with that one for now? All right.
May I ask a foolish question here? Yeah, it's easy for me to imagine what a detached accessory dwelling unit is. What's the difference between an attached ADU and, say, an in-law apartment? Like, where's the distinction?
It's the same.
I think in-law apartment is kind of a non-technical term for an ADU. Is the more
Accessory dwelling.
Yeah, or a granny flat. Yeah, there's a few different terms for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and I think it relates back, more to answer your question, I think it relates back to the fact that when originally they put legislation in, many towns stated that you had to be related to the person. Like, so the primary person living in the primary had to be related to the person in the ADU, and that's why they called them in-laws.
And that's no longer the case.
Okay.
But he has a very good point, because if you had an in-law and you decided, again, going back to that example of that split level, and you had a downstairs in-law, but now you want by right to do a detached ADU.
When you go to apply for the permit, the code enforcement officer is going to say.
I think that, yeah, that's going to be somewhat
Pick up on that?
fact-specific. And it's not my job to make those decisions. And I don't know what the threshold is to determine that a room with multiple bedrooms and bathrooms, if you've got, if you have a master suite with ensuite bathroom, and you have a second similar setup bedroom with ensuite bathroom, and it has a kitchenette, is that an ADU?
Well, I mean, all good points, but I know in the past, just being in, dealing with things differently, when Bob Mackey was around, what qualified as a in-law or accessory dwelling was a stove, because a stove is usually bolted down. And if you had it and it was illegal, The way to get around that would be to pull the stove. If you don't have a stove, then it doesn't count. If you can have a refrigerator. For instance, above my garage, I have a man cave. I've got a refrigerator. I don't have a stove, but I have a refrigerator.
You don't have a bedroom in there. So subsection G specifically calls out what is in an ADU. So that would be the
it's
distinction.
one open space. What I have is one open space. So.
I guess, and what I was thinking was you can't have an existing, home with an in-law and then go, oh, and I'm going to add an attached ADU because you'd be double dipping.
Correct, and you would need a variance in order to do that.
Thank you.
I think we're going to have to leave that for code enforcement, because the way this is worded, it's going to depend a lot upon the actual room layout.
Yeah. And since we're in the workshop, and there is a town councilor here that sits with us, I don't know if he hears me or not, but it would probably behoove the town to add extra people in code enforcement during budget time.
Yeah, you brought that up last.
I did, because I think it's important. 2 people for the town, it's 35,000 people. That's a lot.
You can say that as many times as you want under member comments.
Okay.
All right, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything better than the wording of G, because otherwise I think we're trying to split hairs that really aren't ours to split, so.
Okay.
Next set of red ink is over on the other side on page 4. And this is talking about manufactured housing park.
Yep.
We're changing it from 2 to 1 off-street parking space, and I assume that's, again, directly required by state law, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
While we're here, Liz.
Yes.
C, the legislature didn't change that, did they?
What page are you on?
The makeup of it? I don't.
No.
The 4-inch, the
Yes.
concrete pad? I don't believe so.
The standard has been 6-inch for the last
Which one did you
8
read?
years. The mobile home standards, that's what, they have to be a 6-inch, and that's what our code enforcement goes by, is 6-inch.
And is that by the building codes, or is that
Yes.
state, or is that an RSA?
That's the,
Building code?
yeah, that's what
Okay.
the town has adopted. That's
right.
what they require. is
I will
so
have,
Now would be the time to deal with that.
Can you elaborate on that, Randy?
So the building codes for manufactured housing, it used to be a 4-inch pad. About 8 years ago, they upped the standard, the state upped the standard, or I shouldn't say the state. National updated the standards to a 6-inch thick pad, and that's what the town goes by. They require a 6-inch thick pad now. So I think our ordinance should reflect that, and while we're in here, now would be the time to do it.
Did not the codes be updated as well?
I believe they did. That's a
did-
national
they
standard,
did
not a
the-
state standard. That's a national standard.
I thought the state had to adopt new codes.
I believe they did.
They brought them up to standard, and everybody now has to follow those codes. So many times Derry was way behind.
Right.
I'll ask Carrie.
That supersedes anything that we have.
So
I'll ask.
it's probably a good thing to make the change.
Yeah.
In terms of actually specifying that in the zoning ordinance.
Right.
You realize that leaves it open for the ZBA to grant a variance against that.
I don't believe they can't grant a variance against building codes.
Yeah, but they can
Building
grant
code's a building code.
They can grant a variance against the zoning ordinance, and then it's 2 departments fighting each other. Just saying.
I'm just saying, while we're here, it's part of the building code, it's something to look into while we're
And
here.
it should be 6 inches, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, I will, I'll ask Carrie. We'll double check it. Okay.
Instead of specifying
Yeah, I think in general, when we get into having overlapping regulations and ordinances, one that has concurrent jurisdiction, we should probably, in the long term, try to keep building code stuff out of the zoning ordinance, but.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, next red ink is parking requirements, which used to be 1.5 spaces.
Now it's 1 per unit.
And that got taken out. That's, again, direct state law. Flipping over to page 6. Again, 1 space per dwelling unit for multifamily dwellings. And then all that other stuff got taken out?
Yep.
Because that's what state law says. On page 7, this is the appeal, changing from reasonable
Yes,
rules to 30 days, okay?
yes.
Bottom of the page, for discussion. Building,
Yeah, and we were going to hold off on this one. This is the one relative to the Class 6 roads.
okay, let's just flag that as, put it in the parking lot, so to speak.
Okay. So we'll take care
Now, I
of
have
that.
2 blank pages, is that okay? Yeah, next one's page 8, so I guess that's okay.
Okay.
There's also a yellow one at the top about waiver, that belongs to the last one?
Yeah, and that's,
Okay.
yeah, that's 281. And then it would be up to the board whether you want to move forward with the changes for allowing multifamily in a commercial zone. That's what the rest of all of this is.
So it gets registered.
How likely is that to get changed?
That one, I think the state was pushing kind of hard to allow that, so I don't know.
This is just personal opinion for me. I think that was specific for a couple of properties, and specifically the old Concord Steeplegate Mall that's not being used. They just sort of wanted really to kind of convert that into residential because it was just sitting there. I believe that bill kind of started from that standpoint where you got empty buildings in commercial.
I guess the question is, could enough towns push back to have them modify it or repeal it in the next session?
The only thing, and I brought this up during one of the meetings, I asked the question, does that mean a current building that's in commercial, or is that land that's in commercial? If a developer came and said, I want to use that commercial land for residential, are we obligated to do that? That was the big
Well, my understanding is
$64,000
that
question I had.
zoning uses typically run with the land. So,
Because again, I think that bill came from, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because in the real estate world, after COVID, a lot of people ran out away from the cities, and they have a lot of empty office buildings doing nothing. And some of your bigger communities here may have, empty commercial buildings doing nothing.
Correct.
That could be converted into residential very easily. That's what I think happened. But I don't know if they're thinking about, like I had mentioned, if it's like, I want to come along and find a piece of commercial land in Derry just to build residential.
or infill,
Yeah, so I don't know.
I think it's both, people would be, it would be, in whatever zone where we permit it, it would be either vacant land or adaptive reuse of buildings. And in thinking about it, there is case law. Brady Sullivan had a case with the town of Hooksett, and the old Cigna building is now it will be mixed use, commercial, residential and commercial, but it is mostly going to be a residential building. They're going to do adaptive reuse of that building. So I have a feeling that this one may be here to stay.
I guess my feeling is this one's probably more likely. Let's push it through, and
Okay.
if something changes, then we'll make another change. I mean, we are at the service of the legislature.
Okay, and then,
We have to decide.
yeah, we need to decide if you
We have to
want,
decide if it's going to be retail or whatever on a mixed use.
yeah, so, yeah, if
Is
you
it going
could
to be
take a
part
look
of the
at.
first floor, or is it going to be sort of like?
Well, that's on the next page.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, so
I got
let's,
ahead of myself.
let me know how you want to, if you don't, it does not have to be, it can be strictly residential, or it can be mixed use. So that's the first question. Do you want it residential with a mixed use component, or just residential?
Well, I think we ought to have a bit of a policy, discussion on that. Unless we have our economic development director sitting in the audience playing on her phone, so I may ask you for an opinion. We used to be concerned about residential uses as it would impact the tax base because of student load, increasing students in the schools. And that was back when the demographics, at least in this state and probably nationwide, were 2 or 3 students per dwelling unit. And now, depending on where you are in the state, it's either, 0.7 or 0.5 students per dwelling unit. So the negative tax impact of housing is less than it used to be. And everyone who seems to be in the know is telling us we have a housing crisis in New Hampshire. It's hurting our economy because we can't find places for workers to live. And so if the requirement of having mixed use of a substantial percentage would cause burdens on the residential uses, because all of that space would go begging, because right now there's a fairly high commercial vacancy rate. I guess I want to be careful that we're not playing old tapes, that we're not solving, decades-old problems and creating new ones, because we build this building that's got 2 floors of residential use and then a floor of stores that no one can rent.
Commercial use, right.
So,
Yeah.
could you give us some,
Either.
or come up to the, give us your thoughts on what the market is here, and then we can maybe talk to Mr. Churchill as well.
So it's a hard thing to answer because everything has been tossed up in the air in so many different ways in the past year. I think it was you that said at a recent meeting that all value is kind of good value right now. If you asked me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have said I'd be very protective of all of our commercial property because they're not making any more. We don't have a lot left. But at the same time, as you said, the demographics have shifted and there are less kids being born, and that seems to be trending down even more.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say. It's all just opinion at this point. We do have a housing shortage, a huge housing shortage, and until we put more units into the marketplace, those prices will still go up. I had her do a report today for the finance department, and I think we went from a median home price, and Brian, you can tell me, last year at this time was about $530,000 in Rockingham County, and today it's $670,000.
It's over 600. So in Rockingham County, it's
And
bad.
rental units last year at this time were 2,100, and today they're 2,830. So that's huge, and we're not going to get those prices to come down. A little tweak in an interest rate isn't going to do it. We're dealing with tariffs, and building supplies cost more than ever, and it's getting harder to build and make projects pencil out. So I like the idea of having the mixed use because it kind of spreads the risk around for developers, and it allows, some flexibility in how you can put a project together. But at the same time, I really want to be cautious not to say give away the farm in all of our commercial property because, as I said, they're not making more. So it's not much of an answer. I think it's a hard thing to wrestle with right now. And, the legislature made all these new rules that everybody's grappling with. It'll be interesting to see how things shake out. But the world is not the same, and we have to be, I think the best thing we can do is be flexible and adaptable to what we have and looking out as best we can into the future, follow the demographics, look and see where the markets are going, and in the reality of actually putting a project in the ground.
Okay, I knew it was going to be hard.
Yeah.
Mr. Churchill, do you have any additional color?
Yeah, on top of that, if you think about it, housing crisis, we definitely have. But more importantly, the affordability issue is even more of a problem that we've got to figure out because land costs are expensive. And for a developer, like Bev said, pencil out with these projects, that's why you've got these high values. And so collectively, I mean, and this is not Derry, it's really statewide. We got to kind of figure out how we can actually make more affordable housing. I mean, we have the West Running Brook district, which basically is mixed use, but the commercial is separate. So, moving forward, we're going to see how that works. I'd rather have that personally, myself, than to say, here's a building and we're going to build residential, but all the first floor is going to be office, because I don't know if you get to fill all that office. We've in Derry always have tried to bring in more commercial mix. And this is just my personal opinion. It's tough to bring commercial into Derry because you've got the Nashuas and the Salems that are on the border of Massachusetts, and then you got Manchester to the north of us. These big commercial companies are saying, well, the people from Derry will just drive to us. So it's hard for us to attract more commercial. And I agree with Bev as well. And if you said this, good for you. Value is value. If you want to bring taxes down, you bring in more value. Whether you call it residential or commercial, it's more value. And the more value you bring in will help more people paying into the coffer is basically what it is to lower taxes or stabilize taxes. But
Well, at least the feds started today. They reduced it by giving a quarter point on the interest rates, and look like 2 more are going to be following soon.
the only problem, John, that's true.
It takes
As a saver, I don't like to see that. But on the flip side of that, it's really the 10-year Treasury bond that really reflects
Bonds,
the
yeah.
mortgage rates. Just because they lowered the overall interest rate doesn't necessarily correlate to mortgage rates.
Yeah, the Fed fund rates only really affect very short-term interest rates. Long-term interest rates are set by the market.
But again, the biggest question that everyone has to figure out is how do you get a real affordable housing in here? As I said, the land costs are through the roof. And to ask a developer to buy all this land and then, hey, by the way, can you make, $250,000 houses? They're not going to do it.
I think this board was pretty forward-thinking when we were going through the process of putting together the West Running Brook District, because we allowed for that flexibility on purpose so that we could adapt when the time came. Every parcel is different, every neighbor is different and impacts a property in a different way. So allowing for the flexibility to be able to react when it was appropriate is a really great thing. And I like that there's some element to that in some of the new zoning that we're putting together in allowing that flexibility, because that really is the key. And if developers have to waste time going to the zoning board and waiting and putting months and months of extra time into their planning, sometimes that's a make or break for a project.
Yeah, as you know, I'm not a fan of the level of flexibility in WRB, because I think there's no hard rules at all. But I do agree that maybe this is a situation where a conditional use permit might buy us some flexibility, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Certainly, if you want affordable housing, you've got to make the project efficient, as you say, pencil out. And having to build some commercial space with, different parking requirements and different fit-up requirements, and then, different vacancy rates may make or break a particular project.
Yeah.
So I would perhaps support that the non-residential portion of any multifamily residential allowed in a commercial district will be determined by the planning board up to a maximum of 25%, and that will give us the flexibility to say, for you, I think you've made a good case, it should be 0 or it should be 10 or 5. The other thing I'll say is that even the West Running Brook District, with all of our flexibility, given the mandate that any district that allows commercial uses, you buy a parcel, you have a right to put up residential. So some of the things that we thought we had kind of locked in WORB, I think, have also been impacted by these recent state laws.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing too, because if we're talking about building affordable housing, the financial model for that is extremely different than what a regular developer, especially a mixed-use developer, works with. It's highly specialized. And so if somebody wants to propose affordable, I would advocate to stay as flexible as you can in saying that the percentage of commercial has to be within a building, because that may not be feasible. If you can have the building here and the apartment building here, then that's more doable on the part of a developer.
Let's try to work on this. I don't know that we can actually draft the language tonight. Typically, when you do a conditional use permit, there are findings of fact you have to make in order to issue that permit or not. It can't be whatever the planning board happens to feel like that night. So, if incentives for affordable housing are one of the findings of fact, or some other element that you could give us, I would like to structure a conditional use permit arrangement around all of these mixed use requirements in these developments, so that we can do the right thing in a smart and rule-driven basis on a plan-by-plan basis.
Okay, I think we tried to propose some, what the findings, like, that would be on page 10, I thought we had.
Okay. Well, let's look over that and come back. Oh, page 10 is long.
Yes, it is. We tried to think of all the variables.
All right, so that's long. So let's finish up on page 9 and then go on.
Okay, thank you. So we would like to do mixed use, is what I'm hearing.
We would like to have the option to do mixed use. I think if you've already got it based on conditional use permits that maybe would give points to certain kinds of things, such as affordability is a relative term. I mean, I'm not talking about workforce housing.
No.
I'm talking about efficient cost of construction kind of housing.
Understood.
And there's definitely a difference, too.
Yes, okay. All right, and then if I heard you correctly, the suggestion was on item G2 to take away that restriction to keep it on the first floor? Was that how the board wanted to go?
Yeah, because I'm also thinking of, as the population gets older, a lot of people want first floor. Unless there's an elevator, but...
Yeah.
I mean, you described the conditional use permit in 5A, so I think that 2 is redundant at this point. You just put all of the factors that we think about into 5A and its subparagraphs. So I'm a little confused. I'm going to read this. It says, the planning board shall issue,
Or it should be may.
because if it's shall, it's not conditional.
Right, it may.
Right.
Yeah.
The planning board shall issue a conditional use permit to allow a mixed-use family dwelling in the general commercial district, subject to the terms and conditions and restrictions of this section if the board finds all of the following to be true.
That may gives us more latitude.
Yeah. Yeah, it was poor word choice, yeah.
That word shall is a...
The problem is, none of those say anything about more affordable, efficient housing construction, and we probably need to give that some consideration, as well as all the, it's not negative, all of those things, little I through, VI are all, it's not negative because of these reasons. I think we need to have, or if it's positive for this reason.
Well, if you're putting the words affordable in there, does that mean market rate doesn't fit into it?
Or are we talking about affordable as how much is it going to cost for me to develop it? In which case, I don't think that's something we can or should regulate.
Well,
affordable ties into,
The cost of development is beyond our control.
right, I wouldn't be
But
talking about.
if we have regulations that in 9 out of 10 cases cause a particular parcel to be unbuildable for the intended multifamily residential use, then we can't really say that costs are no matter because we have created a structural impediment and no relief.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think if you put the words affordable in there, like, that means something in New Hampshire now, and it means something for multiple reasons.
Maybe you flip it around and say we would grant remission from the commercial space requirement if the applicant can demonstrate to our satisfaction that developing and leasing that space would be a burden to them and would cause them to walk away from the project. I mean, again, you are relying on them to tell you, hey, I won't do it if I have to do this. And if we want them to build those kinds of buildings, we kind of have to listen to them to some extent. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you word it because it's very tricky.
Yeah,
I think you flip it. If you want affordable housing, then there's ways to do that. You could give a density bonus. You could require that, units are deeded affordable for a length of time. There's lots of things that you can do. But to just say affordable, what does that mean? Affordable to who? Because $4,600 a month might be affordable to a lot of people. Maybe, like in Salem, you're seeing
The other thing we could do is decide that value is value, and we don't really care. As long as you're building a nice project and it meets all the other requirements, what is the valid public purpose in requiring these little infill or redevelopment properties to have a commercial presence? Because honestly, as we've talked about in other areas, and we'll probably talk about in the next workshop, there's not that much land left.
No, and I don't know if it's appropriate to say that we're requiring it because these are our commercial zones. Like, they were zoned commercially so that the town could get that
Yes,
tax
and
base.
the state said, well, no, they're not anymore. And so you can't really try to undermine the state law or get around it because they said, hey, it's a right. You can build residential, multifamily residential and commercial, and you may require some portion of that to be non-residential. The question is, in Derry, should we take up that may, and if so, to what extent?
Would it be appropriate to add a provision that says, because this is in the zoning ordinance, I'm thinking on the fly here, so it may be a little chunky. Is it appropriate to say, because this is in the zoning ordinance, that if we wanted to allow some relief for a developer who had, specific reasons they could present to us that spoke to public benefit and things as to why they shouldn't have commercial, that it would be allowed by a waiver through the planning board? Can we do that here?
No, the term that allows the planning board to do that is conditional use permit.
Okay, all right.
Waivers are for regulations.
Right.
So it's either a CUP or it's a variance.
Okay.
When it's in the zoning ordinance.
So by doing it by CUP, are we allowing a relief valve through the planning board for someone who wants to
We are
not
assuming
do
that the findings of fact that we have to make fit our intent.
Okay,
And so the devil is in the details there, right?
okay.
I think it might be cleaner and easier if you leave out references to affordable or not. If somebody wants to do like a workforce housing or a traditional affordable housing project, that's going to be a whole different animal anyway. And maybe the best way to do that, if you're trying to encourage that, I would say do density bonus type of thing. Or maybe that's the one circumstance where you don't enforce the commercial part of it, if you're trying to get to affordable housing.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to get to is, we require 25% of multifamily developments in our commercial districts to be non-residential, except by CUP when the following is true. What is the following?
If it's going to be like a true workforce housing or affordable housing plan. And you'll know if it is, because that comes with a lot of restrictions, a whole different type of financing. New Hampshire Housing gets involved. It's a whole different animal.
All right, so can you help us provide that?
Workforce as
Text?
defined by RSA, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We have that in our ordinance.
At this hour of the night, that seems to be the best thing to give us flexibility that we all seem to want at some level. Any other brainstorms or ideas on this that sound better than that from anyone?
We can look at other municipalities too, to see how they're addressing it, because this isn't new, just new to us.
Okay, so I guess what I'm going to suggest is that somehow we schedule another committee meeting to try to hammer out text before the next workshop, so that we actually have something somewhat tested.
This isn't anything that was before the Gateway Committee.
Well,
Yeah.
did we not have a committee at all for this?
No, we didn't. These are the legislative changes.
Yeah, but some, yeah,
Some tie in, but yeah.
I guess that's fine if staff wants to work on it. All I'm saying is it would be better if we had some sort of consensus on how we're going to get to where we want to be before the next public meeting on this. Otherwise, it will,
Okay.
I mean, to some extent, I guess it doesn't matter, because all the things that are a matter of law, if someone says, I want to do this, and it's in the law, we'll say, yeah, fine. I don't care what the zoning ordinance says it right now, because we can't violate state law, but we ought to get our act together.
Okay.
Well, the new state law, if I read it correctly, is that you can have residential in a commercial zone by right as long as it is with a mixed-use component. It's not, they can't just go into a commercial zone and start dropping apartment houses.
I thought it said we may require it to have mixed use.
May, yeah.
May.
Not shall, may.
Yep.
So it's up to us.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't want to drop the commercial component of it, because as she says, we don't have any more to make. And once it's gone, it's gone. And if it's squandered all to residential and then the commercial market turns around, we've got nothing to fall back on.
That's a point.
I don't want to just give it away.
What do other people think about the toss-up between value is value and we need to preserve commercial space?
So I agree with Mr. Chase, and the bill allows a municipality to require some portion of, mixed commercial use, up to 25%, I believe. Though I saw another draft that was 20%.
It can be whatever percent you want.
Okay, I'm sorry. I like the chair's approach to using the conditional use permit and putting the burden of demonstration on the developer to say why, meeting the board's requirement, whatever that percentage be, will make this a non-viable project. It's to either reduce that percentage or eliminate it entirely, but why? And demonstrate that. And then as conditions change, maybe we find ourselves, granting that conditional use all the time, because none of these projects seem to be applicable with commercial use, so on and so forth. But at least we've preserved the ability to keep the zone as originally intended.
Okay, Mr. Mousy, do you have thoughts?
I just think the pendulum could swing back again, and I think giving up that commercial, we might regret it in a couple of years, and we keep on putting in apartments and keep on putting in apartments. Are we going to be able to fill the apartments? So I I think the pendulum could swing again, and I would try to preserve some of the commercial property that we have.
Mr. Tirichello?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings because being a town council for many years and on planning board for many years, we've had the commercial for a lot. It's just we don't bring in a lot of commercial. That coupled with the fact that demographics have changed, as we just mentioned, people aren't having children anymore. So the residential is not impacting a lot of the infrastructure as it used to, maybe in the 80s and 90s, and value is value. You know, if you want to get a hold of, in front of the taxes, you've got to bring in more value somehow. I just, like I mentioned, I see it all the time. Big commercial wants to go to Nashua, they want to go to Manchester, they want to go to Salem, because they're border towns. So, I mean, I can see both reasons and whatnot, but
I don't want to make it sound like there's no commercial, because every piece of property we have has interest in it. Our problem right now, we have big employers that want to come that ask me, where is my workforce? Where are they going to live? And I don't have answers for that. So I think we have to balance it. I don't want to see the commercial aspect go away. I personally am not a huge fan of just saying you can have multifamily in any commercial district. I think that's crazy for this town. I see why they did it, because of other towns not building their share. Unfortunately, we're stuck in the middle of that, even though I think we were on a better path anyway. So with that said, I would leave the commercial component, and I think the only reason not to keep that commercial component is if you're doing a truly affordable project. That would be the only reason. There's plenty of places somebody can build expensive apartments, and actually are.
Mr. Melanie?
It's kind of tough to know where to begin. Not to be a rubber stamp, I agree with Mr. Chase. It's tough to know where to begin, but yeah, I would say no to dropping in residential multifamily in commercial. I have no problem with a residential component. If I had to pick on, portion G2, I would favor the latter half. Saying the residential portion of the building shall not exceed XYZ% as opposed to, just residential on the first floor. I think as much flexibility as we can give developers and folks, I think that's the way to go.
So, yeah, I see both sides. And in the classical argument used to be over tax base, protecting taxpayers. But if value is value, then that's really not an argument. And in terms of valid public policy, which is more important, allowing retail stores or allowing people to have a place to live? So I think some flexibility is in order. Mr. O'Connor?
Excuse me. I'm pretty much in the path with Mr. Mellowby. I believe that some of the commercial should have residential in there. I actually marked off the G2, the portion of the bill not to exceed 25%, which kind of ties up with the actual bill. That when you look at some of the words when the bill's in there, it might, tweak it here and there. But
Mr. Healy?
Mixed use is through an adaptive reuse.
I agree with Mr. Chase's first comments from earlier.
Okay. So the majority of the board wants to keep the commercial. Is there any interest in allowing a CUP process in the case of truly affordable housing, or do we just want to nail it down to a percentage?
I'd like the conditional use, personally.
Take a poll, it's easier. How many people would like some sort of conditional use?
And you're saying for purely...
Well, we have to figure out how to define it, because it's tricky, but...
So you're saying if we're going to allow something that is 0% retail, that would be only allowed under a CUP? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah.
I'd be in favor of that.
So I guess we just have to figure out that wording then.
On the subject of wording, I'm confused why we're saying that in one of these examples, the commercial or the non-residential use portion shall not exceed a certain percentage. Wouldn't it be in the town's interest to retain as much control and then provide the relief valve through either a CUP or something? I mean, the state has taken away the town's ability to control zoning in this area effectively. And so, but they're leaving the ability for the town to have discretion over the use of the first floor.
Right.
So it feels like it would be in our interest to either, if we're going to put a percentage in, I mean, as I understand it, we have the ability to say that there's 0 residential on the first floor. We're allowed to keep that in. But if we're going to say, okay, some portion of that first floor is allowed to be residential, then wouldn't we want to state that some no less than a certain portion is to be used as retail, as opposed to no more than? Or am I misinterpreting that?
Yeah, you may have the polarity backwards, because I agree with your intent. We should be saying that there's at least this much non-residential.
Yes. Which is not what's written.
Isn't it?
Yep, that's why you get
You're saying
drafts.
shall not
Yeah.
exceed.
Okay.
Okay.
It's at the pleasure of the board, how you want to word it, yeah. So I guess maybe figure out, do you want to put a percentage on it, what that percentage is, and then work the wording?
Well, I mean, the most extreme that we can retain in terms of the town retaining control, if you will, not making an argument for or against that, but just the logical outlay here is 0% residential on the first floor, meaning must be 100% retail or commercial, right, on the first floor. If we were going to be more lenient than that and allow more residential in, we would say must be at least 75 or at least 50. We're saying cannot be more than 25. So we're strongly limited. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, so yeah, you can say that the commercial use, well, the non-residential use portion of the building, so the commercial use portion shall be a minimum of 25% of the gross floor area of the building.
Minimum is the key.
Minimum, okay,
yes,
yeah.
as written,
yeah,
it's
we
saying
can
maximum,
reword
which
that,
is like
yeah.
kind of in the opposite.
And I think, moving, development trends are always changing, and I think allowing the developer to have the flexibility within the building, or the building owner to have the flexibility within the building to move things as they need to, without having to go for a variance, because there may be instances where you don't want the entire first floor to be taken up with a commercial use, and you may want residential uses on the first floor. I'm thinking in particular for I know most buildings now, they're all built with the ADA access, but if you have like an adaptive reuse of a single, a 1-story or 1.5-story existing building, you may need the ability to have someone be able to reside on the first floor. So long as we're saying that, you can have commercial, it needs to be at least this, you can have more if you want or not, but allow them to move things as they need to as things change within the building. I think that's more forward thinking than saying, you have this building, this is all commercial, you're done. I think we need to allow that flexibility for moving forward.
I don't actually have the bill in front of me. Does the bill talk about a percentage? Does it use that word?
It's attached. It should be the last one in your packet. And it says, you could require, so I'm looking at 3, you could require all available ground floor space or a percentage to be
Okay.
dedicated to
So it
retail.
does say a percentage, okay.
Yeah.
Or 8%, it doesn't give it a percent.
I think that's fine. I think we just have to figure out if there's a CUP that lets us move it to less than 25%, if there are certain benefits to the town and its population, and we got to figure out what that wording is and make it fairly concrete as opposed to really vague.
And Mr. Chair, not to beat the dead horse, but just to be clear, you're saying rewrite the language that's proposed now to say a minimum of 25% of the first floor must be used for non-residential use.
Unless you get a conditional use permit from the planning board to have a lesser number based on ABC.
So you want it restricted to the first floor unless you get a CUP. That's what I just heard.
Percentage is
That's what I
fine.
just heard.
I think a percentage, 25% of the building must be non-residential.
Yep.
Unless you get a CUP.
To be less.
For that number to be less based on ABC. And I think we could probably make it less than a page, hopefully.
Okay.
Because I guess, I hate to use the word quid pro quo, but we're balancing public interests here. There's a public interest in maintaining commercial tax base, which historically has been, gold, right? There's also a public value in having housing that workers can afford to live in, so that if you want to have a big business come into Derry and they say, well, I'd love to, build in your, industrial district, but I'm going to need this many employees and there's no place in town for them to live.
Understood.
So I'm going elsewhere.
Okay.
So I think we just need to work on
We will. Okay.
25%, somewhere in the building, non-residential, unless there's a CUP to allow a lesser amount of non-residential based on ABC. We just have to figure out what ABC are.
Got it.
Hopefully it
Okay.
should be succinct.
All right.
And it would be nice if it's based on standards or statutes or something, not vague.
I'll work with Attorney Search on that as well. He might have some examples. Are there any suggested changes to page 10?
10.
It's almost a repeat.
Other than A, where it says planning board may issue.
I'd suggest replacing all of 10
Okay.
with what we said and just ABC. I don't want to see it be a page.
Okay.
Because then it gets really hard for the planning board to
Okay.
prove that all of those things are true.
Okay. All righty.
And are we happy with 25%? I mean, is that?
I think that's a good starting stakes, yeah.
Not to exceed.
I mean, if you make the, it more than that, it's not really.
Okay. So for the OMB, the only difference really is the density. It's 12 units per acre in GC, and this is proposed to be 10. The rest of the language is all the same, so that can be updated if you wish.
Let me think about that for a second. Some of the state laws say that you can limit residential development in industrial or commercial districts based on availability of infrastructure. And I assume that the density difference between OMB and commercial was probably originally predicated on that infrastructure. But I think what the state intended in the law was that if you're going to limit the number of units based on infrastructure, you have to the burden is on the town to prove that there's a deficiency, as opposed to the developer the other way around. So I think the old density rules may not fly in the face of some of these newer laws without backup and reference to the infrastructure that supports them. I mean, does anyone remember what the rationale was for that? No, the density differences. I certainly don't.
Yeah, and I think it was based on on the infrastructure, but I don't think Derry ever allowed multifamily where there wasn't water and sewer available. And I think it was, we allow a larger density in the downtown area, and that is because, Bev speaks to, you can have greater density going this way. So I think that was part of the reason why we did that back in the day. I don't know, I wasn't here for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing to ask Serge, because it just seems like a red flag to me, because if the state's intention is to allow pretty much unbridled residential development, unless the town can prove it's unreasonable, and we just have a density number without any justification, that's probably a red flag for litigation. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. So would you suggest keeping it the same? So like we have 12 units per acre everywhere except for, I think, the TBOD and CBD. I think those are different, but we could keep it the same.
I think we could keep it the same, but I'm also thinking that in general, our density requirements may be open to legal challenge based on the wording of some of these new laws.
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer, I'm just saying.
I mean, are you talking about the exact number? Because are you talking about the exact number?
I'm talking about why is it, 10 units per acre, 12 units per acre? I mean, if it were the capacity of municipal sewer, that's one thing. It's certainly not based on subsoil septic systems, because we don't allow those for this kind of use. So what in one district would allow that? I can see tying the density to sewer capacity in a more technical way. I think that's what the legislature had in mind.
They say, provided that adequate infrastructure, including roads, water, and sewage systems, shall be available or provided to support the development.
And one of the complaints that the New Hampshire Municipal Association and many others made in testimony to the committees was that you are now asking the town to come up with these standards for whatever sustainability and suitable infrastructure is, and prove it without providing any kind of legal framework. So it's like you're really sort of throwing the town engineering department under the bus, Mr. LaRue. We could hold off on that and wait till we get a challenge, or we could start thinking about it.
I can add a comment. The other thing that is concerning for all of us in the workforce, that you have these redevelopments of sites, and they're zoned a certain way, and what we're seeing is that everybody wants to increase units to the point that it's a problem it's going to be a problem for abutters. Because I can give you an example. If you go into a small neighborhood on Central Street or something, and somebody wants to take an old house and convert it to 15 units, and it's less than an acre of land or just barely an acre of land, and you're trying to develop in an area that probably has flooding issues, or it's going to be much more impactful to abutters because it's right next to property lines. A house that was a New Englander now is going to be maybe 45 feet in height, right up against that abutter. And there's a lot of unintended consequences that go with these things, and it's going to be very difficult to try to manage what you're going to see. You're going to see these things. We've already started to, and it's not desirable when you look at when you're picking and choosing and which spots they are, and it's difficult to try to make stormwater work, parking work. It's great you can reduce the parking requirements, but people are still going to need a car to go to and from, and possibly to, especially if you have two bedrooms. It's not sustainable. We talk about it all the time at TRC. If you have so many people parking outside, how is law enforcement going to take care of policing, a side street.
The issue we had with those garden-style condos by the golf course, remember that?
Yep.
We're parking off.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that's
so
what you'll
I think
see.
that falls under, yes, we can prevent those things, but we have to be able to make counter-arguments based on science, because, sewer this and drainage that and whatever. The state has allowed us to regulate the density and number of units based on those limitations, but we have to make objective numeric claims as opposed to hand-wavy claims. So it has been pointed out that that is a big unfunded mandate on the towns.
Yes. Okay.
Things can get fine-tuned up in Concord.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably bet someone a donut that in 5 years, some of this stuff gets tweaked because people find out it doesn't really work the way they think it does, but.
I would not bet on that because that's a sure thing. All right, so we can leave for the OMB, and I think the thought behind having the 10 units per acre as opposed to 12 was those lots are, as Mark had said, they're a little bit smaller, and that's the area that's right across from the hospital. So, there's a lot of existing buildings that are being converted there. So I think that was the thought behind keeping it at 10 as opposed to 12. Like we might.
Yeah, I guess I'm not suggesting we change it now.
Okay.
But all I am suggesting is that when people come in and they go to the ZBA for a variance because they said state law says you can do this if you can prove blah, 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 there's nothing in the zoning ordinance that gives specifics on what the impacts and limitations are, so therefore you need to give me relief. I think we owe it to the zoning board to give them some facts and figures to back this up, because otherwise they're going to be in trouble when someone just claims, oh, this is arbitrary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And just to add on to that just for a minute, when I did speak with Attorney Surge about like adequate water, sewer, like that kind of thing, the lots may be served by water and sewer, but like Attorney Surge had said, there could be a road there, but it could be a road in, doesn't happen in Derry usually, but it could be a road in really, really bad condition that is not going to be able to support the amount of traffic from that development without a large upgrade. And if the developer doesn't want to do the large upgrade, then the town would have a right to say, well, then I'm sorry, but that's just going to be a negative impact on our existing infrastructure. We can't have this development. So like we do have a little bit of leeway that way in how that moves, those move forward. And those are things that we should be looking at when someone wants to put a multifamily in the commercial district. Do we have enough water and sewer infrastructure available? Is there going to be enough, what is the condition of the roadway?
I guess all I'm saying is, and I'm sort of kicking this over to Mr. LaRue and his department, is that in the ordinance, we need to have numbers and boundaries and quantities of what's enough.
Okay.
Because if the planning board says, well, I don't think there's enough, and the applicant says, what are you basing that on? It's like, well, I don't know, I just don't think there's enough. That's not going to work well for us. So we need some actual figures that we say, okay, if you want 20 units on a parcel, the water main has to be this diameter, and the sewer main has to be that diameter, and stuff. You know what I'm saying, Mark?
Yep. Yep.
I don't know exactly what to say, but things.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, at this point, what we lean on is to control the space that's consumed on the property. Is you have to allow for storm drainage to stay on your property. You have to treat it now. We were part of the, Rockingham County MS4 drainage requirements, and that's very hard to achieve, much harder than the other parts of the state. So we have that in our favor, but people are still pressing it. And what I find is that parking is reduced, but units are increased, and it kind of creates an upside down functionality to the property if you allow it to continue to, you keep cutting down on parking or other requirements, but you increase the units of people living there, at some point you are going to have a change in demographics again. And it's either going to be that you're going to have too many people living there and not enough vehicles, or you'll have empty apartments because there's too many apartments.
Well, I mean, that is, one of those unintended consequences. It could be that everyone says, oh, great, there's more apartments to live in, but oh, I can't park there, so I can't really use this apartment because there's no place to put my car that it won't get towed. So I'm hoping that maybe the developers would take that into consideration.
They are.
The state apparently didn't, but hopefully the developers would.
They are. I mean, no developer's going to build apartments that cost $4,000 to live in only one car.
Right.
And I'm already being told that by them.
Okay. So does that cover all of the
It does, thank you.
law-related stuff?
All right, let's move on to the fun stuff.
All right, so where are we at?
So now we're into the gateway.
All right, let's see if we can get this done in 45 minutes.
Okay. So on the staff report, I basically listed everything that we did to amend this. Do you want me to go through that, or do we just want to, what do we want to do?
Let's go through it in line, because you'll end up reading it twice otherwise.
All right. So we, so we updated the definitions. So to include all the amended and the new uses. So that's Asian bodywork, care and treatment of animals, conference center, commercial, kitchen commissary, demonstration kitchen, co-work offices, data center, distribution fulfillment center, distillery, food hall, makerspace, the tweak to the word media production or recording studios, and professional training, tutoring, testing, and certification center. In wireless communications.
Let me ask, are there any changes in the definitions between this reading and the last reading?
No.
No? Did anyone have agita with any of the ones last time? All right, so if there's no objection, we can pass on, because it has not changed.
Okay. No changes from last time in wireless communication. We just took out industrial 2.
All right, so what's that whole yellow thing?
So that was really, I did change that. We updated the numbers. So in keeping those properties in the general commercial district, where cartoons and the nail and all of that were, we had to, there was one property that was on Laconia, which was still in MHDR2, that had to be moved to GC. So I tweaked those numbers so that everything accounts for all of that. That's what
And it's not actually part of the ordinance, that's just a description for the...
we have to...
reading it, right?
Yeah, because we have to say we're updating the zoning map effective of this, but we have to say how we're updating the zoning map.
Okay.
So that's why those are there. And then we move into the general commercial 4 district, where the only tweak there, same as last time, was to change that, take care of that wording. We went from movie and recording studios to media production or recording. It was just that tweak in the words. Same for West Runningbrook district. And then the neighborhood commercial district, we amended that to redefine the requirements for the district to include the list of permitted uses, the area and dimensional requirements, the setbacks, lot coverage, height, buffers, and architectural design requirements. I don't think there were any changes there, other than we added brew pub in,
Right.
which is highlighted. The board may want to just take a quick peek at the dimensional requirements and ensure that they agree with that, what we have proposed. Hasn't changed from the last iteration.
So are there any parcels in that district currently that don't meet that?
Most of, some of the parcels in the, I call them the city streets, they're like 75 by 100. Like, so we kind of looked at the dimensions of the lots there, and most of them, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 lots that weren't 7,500 square feet.
I'm guessing do you want to explicitly talk about non-conforming lots with respect to the minimum lot area here, or do you want to just defer to the general non-conforming use descriptions and provisions?
I think we should defer to the
General provisions?
general, yes, but yeah, I think if we try to overcomplicate this, we're going to overcomplicate it. And none of the buffer zone language changed. When we get to industrial 1, the only change was we added distribution and fulfillment center and took out mail order storage yards.
Yep.
And then we come to the industrial 2 district. So for this district, we, the change from the last workshop, we added in the commercial performing fine arts schools and studios. We added in, so here's where we added in the multi-family dwelling. We just had that discussion. So that is in there. And then the other addition was to cover, normally in our commercial districts, we said anything that it was single-family existing as of the effective date of the ordinance is considered a legal permitted use, so that it allows those properties to expand and do what they need to do. So because there's single to 4-family dwelling units in this district. That's why the wording says single, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So any of those existing as of whatever the effective date is, they would still be allowed to, expand or do what they need to. And then building height, that was one area that the board, I believe, wanted to have a short discussion on. Is 3 stories, limiting it to 3 stories, is that prudent? Should it be 4? And then do we allow hotels to go higher? Like that's a discussion we may want to have.
I think in committee, we got to, hotels would probably be the only thing that would want to go that high. Mm-hmm. The higher the building, the more expensive the structure has to be in order to support those floors. So the question is, will people build 4 or 5-story, non-hotels, do we think? Mr. Chase?
As far as straight commercial, no, I do not believe they will. But the market has found that 2 and 3-story apartment builder or multifamily aren't financially feasible anymore. They need to go higher, especially with a commercial component involved in it. As a new legislation, we just had that lengthy discussion over it.
So that brings up the question, is there any valid public purpose to limiting it to 3?
I don't see it. I'm not in favor, I'm not in favor of a 10-story building, which I don't believe we're ever going to get here. But I'm not in favor of height limitations to 2 or 3 floors. I think it's putting us in the dark ages. I think it's leaving us behind. If we don't have some forward thinking and stop, thinking from the 50s, we're just going to continue to be left behind.
So maybe we just simplify and say 5 for everybody?
At a minimum, yes.
What are we saying?
5.
So where between 5 and 10 would you draw the line?
Highest ladder.
They don't even count, that's not even counted anymore in building height because of the built-in fire suppression systems. The highest ladder we have now goes effectively 9 floors.
9, you said? You said 9?
Yeah.
9.
You said 9. Yeah.
We can do 9, but they don't even rate that in the safety codes anymore because of the built-in.
You said I doubt you're going to see 10.
Yeah.
No.
We'll never see 10 here.
Is 5 a good number?
5's a good number.
All right, let's just simplify that to not differentiate between hotels and anything, and just 5 stories. And keep in mind that in this district, a commercial story is not the same as a residential story in height.
Correct. Okay.
And keep in mind, the new state law basically says, 4 stories, you could have 1 staircase.
Yes.
Or more, if you go 5, you need 2.
Oh, well,
Correct.
that's a forcing factor then.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So there was that change, and then,
So whatever you do for the whole discussion about
yes,
non-residential versus residential conditional use permits, do the same thing here?
shall do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, will do. And so, all right, we'll do that. So that brings us into the industrial 4 district, if everyone's good with everything for that. So same changes, distribution, fulfillment center was put in, mill order storage yard was taken out, made the wording change to media production and recording studio. The industrial 6 district was removed because we don't need it anymore. And then we had the architectural design regulations, which have not changed since the first iteration. And then on the very last page, not the map, but on page 24, this is not related to the Gateway District. You had asked that we update our submittal requirements so that we could get rid of those 3 things that everyone asks for a waiver for, that we always grant the waiver.
And then the only other thing that changed was the map.
Yes.
So the lime green parcels are in common with the district on the other side of Crystal. They're all
Yes.
general commercial.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, what's the thing on the very back page about signs?
Oh, I wanted to have a discussion. So this is our existing language. We never talked about signs in the neighborhood commercial district, but I think if you look at it, our existing language, I think, works with what we're proposing for NC. But we probably should just take a look at that and make sure we don't need to tweak it.
Language for special exception uses?
No, these are, when we created the sign ordinance, we put this specifically in, we had.
Oh, for the old
For the old
floating NC.
floating little convenience store district, yeah, but I think it still works. Unless you want to tweak it.
Facility name and address identification only, not contain any product or advertising. That might be tough. For example, if the only thing you got to see is Dave's Cafe, 23, Folsom Avenue, and I didn't say, donuts, and that's all I serve, that might be important.
It might be important because maybe I just want bagels, so yeah.
So,
We can take that sentence out, I think that would be prudent.
I mean, limiting the size and whether it's interior or exterior illuminated, and I don't know whether we need to have planning board review of those things, but it shouldn't be as gaudy as the commercial district, but I think you need to have a little bit more identification, especially since we expect people to make impulse stops to purchase something when they're driving by.
Yeah, you want to grab their attention, make them stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree with that.
So we can take out that language. We'll remove such sign shall be for facility name and address up to advertising information. Is 10 square feet too much, or is it too little, or is it just right?
10 square feet, that's like 1 foot by 10 foot, or like 3 foot by 3 foot, roughly?
Yeah,
We think,
I don't think it's too much.
that's probably fine.
Okay. Then we talk about if it's above grade, it's got to be 8 feet above, like we do in the downtown, and it's got to be 10 feet, which is normal. Not eternally eternally illuminated, yeah. I can't even talk at this point. So I think that, well, that's something that the board might want to look at. Do we want people to have internally illuminated signs, or is that going to be distracting to, I mean, you want people to see the business, but you don't want to create distractions.
This is one of those, it's neighborhood commercial because we expect slow adoption and slow conversion, and so there'll be a whole bunch of people who live there most of their lives, and they want to be able to have a residential feel. And if we allow, internally illuminated signs next to their house, that might kind of break the feng shui.
I think it would be annoying if I
Yes.
lived next to it.
I agree.
I'm just saying, that's
Yeah.
just my opinion, so, okay.
I agree with that.
All right. And then, so they can have like a freestanding sign and then one on the building, similar to kind of like what we have in the
Yeah.
OBD.
Yeah, other than that one sentence, I think it looks good.
Okay.
Okay, so really the only big change is whatever we do with the
Yes. Okay.
multi-use in the CUP. Okay, that was actually
That is
easy.
That is a relief. Good job, people.
And it's only 9:30.
It's been a year.
Just for
That clock's wrong.
just for completeness sake, and I apologize if this was changed at the last one, but we also removed that property that was at the end of Furland Drive from proposed NC. Maybe that was already covered.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that has the, it's got the little spike that sticks
Yeah,
up. That's
that's right.
5 Furland. We did take that out.
We took that out. This one right here.
All right.
I actually have a picture on my phone of the current zoning. I'm kind of comparing it here. Yeah, there's only one parcel looks different.
Owen, do you have a cursor on that?
Yeah, it's that little one at the end, right? Is that what we're talking about, Brian?
Down one lot. Nope, you were there, but
The one with the little spiky
the
thing.
right one lot. To the right one lot. The white one.
Oh, we did,
Not colored. That's 5 Furland. So that's 5 Furland.
Right there.
we
that's
did take
5
that out at the request of the owner.
That's right.
Yeah.
My question is, I can't project this, so. So, this lot right there where it says N in Claremont, I think that flipped over. Should it have?
That is, yeah, that,
No, it's not the dogleg lot, that's above it. It looks like it's blue here. Because there's two deep that are pink. And here we only have,
I thought it was just the, so we're talking about the lots that front on Laconia.
okay.
So,
all I'm just
yeah,
saying is
so,
that
yeah, I thought it was
everyone's the
just
same,
those.
except that you moved this one out of general commercial. And just want to make sure that's not going to be a problem with someone.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, let's look at do I have the old map? We didn't bring the folder with us, right, from the last one? So,
Does it show better on the screen?
yeah, can I? What the chair is saying is that
Can you zoom in? That might help. No zoomy.
If you right click, you might be able to.
Right click.
you want to zoom in on the.
If you have a keyboard, you can hold control and scroll.
On yours?
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks.
Magic.
These are awesome.
That lot right there is currently in general commercial, and we're moving it to neighborhood commercial. The person might be perfectly happy with that, but I don't know if we have heard from them or not.
We heard from this owner and this owner.
Right.
Who also owns this.
Those two are house lots, right?
Well, this is the
car.
nail salon,
Yep.
cartoons.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, the cartoons are there.
This is the one that is now.
USA
So
subs.
what, where this is general commercial now, does the board want that to stay? Do you want to keep these?
I'd like to move it to neighborhood commercial unless we got feedback from whoever owns that lot that they don't want to do that.
right. The nail salon's got an address on Crystal Ave,
Right.
which makes sense to keep it general commercial because everything else on Crystal is.
You didn't hear from me.
Right, that one's on a side street, so I keep it the way you got it.
Okay, I just wanted to make a note that that was a change,
Okay.
And that's probably a house lot there, too.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a few minutes left, so those folks who have been patiently waiting in the audience, do you have any wisdom to share with us on the second reading of these amendments?
Move to close the affordability of vocalization.
What?
It's a workshop. So, all right.
Just keep in mind, we do have a 10 o'clock curfew here, Richard.
Oh, well, it's 9:30. Do you have to make your decision if you want to continue to 10? That's on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, no, we only have to make a decision if we're going to take a new plan,
Okay.
but,
I'll try, Richard Tripp, 44 Wyndham Road. And by the way, I am a state representative, so
all these bad things we're saying about Concord, do you take it to heart?
no. I've thought the same about some of the things you said, you know. But my biggest concern is House Bill 577. The existing law, or the previous bill, gives the towns a lot of leeway in various, things they may change or modify the restrictions. It's like one of them that I thought was interesting was there's a lot of municipality may apply, or they shall not deny the and it didn't seem that the ordinance as you had adopted it or adapted it made use of some of these options, and so like one of the things that I thought was that I think currently the ADU ordinance, and that's the only one I'm going to speak about tonight, said that the owner, the municipality may require owner occupancy of one of the dwelling units. I don't know whether the ordinance that was reviewed today is just
I believe we
pieces
struck
of
it.
the ordinance.
I believe we struck that.
I thought that was not given to the towns to decide. I thought they removed that.
Well, it pretty much does say it. Let me see if I can find it again.
So under section 6, you may require owner occupancy of one of the dwelling units, but it shall not specify which one.
Well, I can agree with that, if somebody has a house that they want to put an ADU in so that they can rent it out or transfer the occupancy to the ADU and have someone rent the principal dwelling, that's fine to me. But I don't think you want to have people changing residential, from where they're living in it or residing in it, and they're permitted to put an ADU in, and then they go, well, we're just going to rent it all out. So I think you might want to consider, putting that back in.
Oh, I don't think we tried to remove it. I think it's just the way the formatting occurred there.
I'm sorry.
So that L is still there.
It is, okay. That's my mistake.
What?
So that line
yeah,
is in there.
That line still exists.
That's a quirk of MS Word.
Yeah. If we removed it, it would have a red line through it. So I think we did keep that.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
So it just, okay, that's good. And then there's if you go back to page 1 of the bill at line 23 about, wait a minute. All right, not 23, but 24. The municipality may prohibit accessory dwelling units associated with rented or leased land. Is that something that's in the existing ordinance?
No.
Such as townhouses.
Say again?
Well,
You keep reading that next sentence where it says such as townhouses. So then you can't get an ADU on a condominium is basically what it says. You own a condominium, you're not doing an ADU.
I understand what a condominium is. A condominium is kind of like what all these duplexes we have in Derry,
No, not necessarily.
Well, they are condominiums.
Some are, but some are owned by both sides. They own both. They're duplexes, but
okay.
they're owned by both.
But
They're not condexed.
all right, condexes, which is probably the better term.
But the state law, in the state law, it says, when you finish the sentence, it says such as townhouses.
Say again? Well, such as
On that
townhouses?
line, when you read the whole line, the municipality may prohibit accessory dwelling units associated with multiple single-family dwellings attached to each other, such as townhouses. So
But
you can't get an ADU.
townhouses isn't that common land?
It is. That's probably why
So how can you
they're
build
not allowing ADUs on that common land.
Do we need to explicitly include that in our language then?
well, townhouses aren't single-family dwelling units, and
Right.
so we only allow ADUs with single-family dwelling units.
Right, it's a different category of real estate.
But all right.
And then if you keep reading, municipalities may prohibit accessory dwelling units associated with rented or leased land, which is typically, you see leased land like in mobile home parks. You don't own the land, it's a different owner.
Yep.
So you
I guess what I'm asking is, when you guys implemented the changes for House Bill 577, you did a fairly comprehensive sweep of the bill before you did the changes to the ordinance.
I think so.
All right.
Staff did.
Yeah. I was a little surprised also that I believe the maximum size for the ADUs, you increased that to 900.
State law brought it to 950.
Well,
The
it
old
allows
ordinance
up to
in Derry
950.
was like 700, I
Yeah.
believe.
We were 800, yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
what
state
did
law
the- what did the-
superseded that and made it 950. Basically 2 bedrooms, I think they figured that out at.
So you allowed the maximum per RSA,
Yes.
even
Yeah,
though,
we have to- we have to-
even though you could have restricted it to not less than 750.
Previously in the ordinance, yeah.
No,
But now the new state law, the new 577 requires up to 950.
No,
Not less than 750.
We can't say less than 750, and we can allow up to 950
Right.
or more if we so chose. They gave flexibility. If you wanted to allow a 1,200 square foot ADU, you could, but they were saying in general 950. So we increased from 800 to 950 to allow for that, because now you can have 2 bedrooms, and so we did allow for that.
All right, now, do you, if you go to Section 8, a municipality shall not require a familial, all right. That's-
Familial
Yeah, that's
relationship.
Yeah, we just.
All right, well, like I said, the question was if you guys had done a good sweep on the ordinance, and since tonight was the first night I'd seen it, I had some questions. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, we did our own analysis, and some of the, for example, New Hampshire Municipal Association provided some templates and some guidance, because they had their people look at it as well, so we probably incorporated some of that.
All righty. So, can I ask when the next hearing's going to be for this? Are you going to have a hearing when,
We're going to do it, what, on October 1st? When, do we actually have it scheduled yet?
Well, we'll make the changes. We'll get this to Attorney Surgeon. As long as we can get a kind of quick response on that, we would have a clean read on October 1st. And if there are no changes to that, then we can schedule it for October 15th. That would allow us our 10 clear days for public notice. If on the first changes are made, then we would obviously,
rolling.
do another clean read on the 15th, and then it would be the second meeting, that, whatever that second meeting is in November.
now, will the updated ordinance be posted online, someplace online where we can have access to it?
Yeah, as soon as we post it, yeah.
And you would post it,
I would look at the planning board page, normally under news and announcements.
okay.
Yeah, because anytime we're having a public hearing on something, we do post it.
We always, yeah, as soon as we post the legal notice, we always post the actual, the text to go with it.
All right, so that would be like 2 days before the hearing?
No, if on October 1st, the board makes no changes to the language, on October 2nd, we will post it.
Okay. So you're going to have another workshop on October 1st? And
It would be,
will the changes be incorporated and posted someplace where we can review them?
would you like us to post a draft? We have for the Gateway, but because that's been like a larger public process, if you want, we could post a draft of the legislative changes. That's at the will of the board. Usually for changes, we kind of wait till we do the legal notice, but it's whatever you guys want to do.
We could, although I'll admit that the change tracking on some of this is messy.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to follow, but we could. Is that-
Across each page, too. word draft on each page.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that. I'm just concerned about the section where there was all these ads and all these crossouts. It's not so much in this one.
Well, I'm primarily interested in 577.
Okay. I think the markups to that one were,
Yeah, there was just,
Fairly
there were
straightforward.
just a couple, yep.
it really only appear on
Yeah, we took out the highlighted on F.
page 2 and page 3.
Yep. Yeah, took out the highlighted on F and then added the language. It said, on a single parcel, there'll be no more than one.
Okay, so if you can post that sometime before the next workshop, that'd be fine. The other thing I want to say, and this is something that I complain about a lot, is that the board members never use the microphones, and it's very hard to hear the discussion during the meeting. I would appreciate it if people, could speak into the microphone when they're talking.
I swear, so I don't know if you want
I can't hear you.
Yeah, so it's all about proximity. We need to be closer to the mic, so we all need to be better about that.
Or pull it down. Some people have the mic.
No, it's just that
I'm just
if I sit
asking.
back here, you're not going to hear me.
I'm just asking that.
Yes, no, it's a good point.
Microphone discipline be a little better, because
sometimes we forget that, and we should pay more attention to making sure we hear us coming back in the room.
well, there's a lot of people that talk like this, and when they're talking to someone else on the dais, that's obviously not into the microphone, or they're, like you said,
Well,
leaning
so
back.
that's sort of like when you're driving with a passenger in your car and you're having a conversation, and you decide to face your passenger while you're talking to them instead of watching the road. It's a bad idea.
But, like I said, I complain to every board in the town that I can't hear when they're speaking because they don't speak into the microphone. But, like I said, if you could, please, it would make it a lot easier for the public to hear what's being said. And thank you.
Richard, my wife will walk in front of me and talk to me while I'm behind her, but she's talking this way. And I can't hear her, so.
Well, I worked around aircraft for 20
All right,
years.
so we're coming up on time, so let's wrap up and see if anyone else wants to speak quickly. I'm sorry, Mr. Fethin, Mr. Tripp took all of your time.
Yeah, I should have got up first. It would have been, I could have definitely beat him to the mic because I'm going to be really quick. And I do have some questions for Liz, but I'm going to send you an email and maybe get a phone call with you because I don't want to do this. Just one thing.
You should ask the questions here, because the board's the one with the answers.
Based on time, I got a few I'll just ask. Then I'll reiterate in the next meeting. It's not a big deal. I just want to clarify some things, but two things. Number one, on the revised August 13, 2025 NHMA summary of the changes pursuant to HB 631, which seems to be the biggest one, the ADU and all that is whatever it is. It just says, I'll just read one line from it, because you guys had an issue with how much percent of the first floor, how much percent of the building. It said, nevertheless, municipalities may require that the ground floor space in the commercial zone property may be required to be dedicated in whole or in part to retail or similar uses. You probably don't need a percentage. You probably could use that sentence, I think. Then you could do what you want with it.
Well, the difficulty is unless we have hard numbers, then it's an equal protection problem. If you come in and you want 15% and the next guy wants, 10%, if we don't have anything in writing, we can't say, well, that's okay and that's not. So we need to make it somewhat objective instead of subjective.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm just saying I think you have the option here to say in whole or in part, because they're using the verbiage, I guess. So that's neither here nor there. And then the only other thing I'd ask, and I'm leaving, is maybe you could explain, since I have a building, I may put apartments in the second floor. it's offices and it's hard to rent, or it's a process that takes too long. Could you explain the conditional use permit process and what you'd expect us as owners to bring to you? Would be a...
So that is yet to be actually drafted. What we said in meta terms is we're going to have a fixed percentage that can be varied by conditional use permit if the following are true, ABC. And what I think the suggestion on the table is that if it is something that is of benefit to the town because it is more affordable housing than market rate, and we're going to come up with legal terms that define that.
Well, I'm talking more of the actual process. So what do? We get a hold of Liz at the planning board and say, hey, Liz, I want to turn my top floor into apartments. Do you have an application? Is that something I'm going to go in front of planning board? Do I have to make an appointment? My stuff would be more of permit. And I don't even have much to do because mine they actually have bathrooms and all that stuff. One has a kitchen in it. Used to be an old dentist office. So I wouldn't have much more than, say, permits through the town, just a building permit, but what's the process? I mean, do you know the
Public hearing.
So there is a process for conversion of structures in place.
Yeah, and if someone were applying for a conditional use permit, then it's an application to the planning board, scheduled public hearing, public notice, same process.
All right. And that's it. I won't take no more of your time. I just have some other questions.
And generally, if you don't have a problem with 25% non-residential, then you don't need any conditional use permit at all.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it because mine's 50-50, so it doesn't really matter, but I don't know. The other one way it's open, if you say 25%, that's okay. I guess we don't really have any big buildings where 25% would be inhibiting, so I don't see an issue. I was just curious that here they're not giving you a number to use if you don't want to. Supposedly, on that summary of whatever, of the rules.
Right.
Whatever, no big deal, just thought I'd mention.
Thank you, Mr. Trefethan. We appreciate your brevity tonight.
Thank you.
So we have 4 minutes left. Are there any member comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Stand adjourned.